This is Pangoria Fallstar, and with me, as always, is
Fiddlesticks of the Children of a Lost Star Gaming Group.
Hey Fids. How you doing?
I'm awake,
You're
so
awake. That's a is that a good
we
sign?
take the wins where we can get them.
We take the wins where we can get them. That is true. That is a true thing that happens. On the wins that we take. That's right.
Yep.
So, we are here. We are some of us queer and overall, neurodivergent. So let's go. Let's talk about some Dungeons and Dragons.
Just kind of generally peculiar, yeah.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, they came out with bastions and cantrips on the playtest the other day,
Yeah.
and I haven't actually read Bastion in any kind of detail. I just kind
Did
of
you?
went, ooh, that's the direction they're taking the cantrips, and then moved on with my day.
Oh, did you want to take a quick look at that? Let's have a quick discussion because Bastions is a whole thing for me that it is very much a how do I word this correctly? It's very much one of those things that is reminiscent of what was like a shell concept in second edition Dungeons and Dragons, and um, it very much is one of those things that is it is a style of role play that not everybody like gets into, and it's very unique. um I do enjoy like what um Acquisitions Inc. did for this sort of thing, and it kind of is fitting back into the Acquisitions Inc. information.
Uh, for my part, the little I actually got around to seeing reminded me of something that I really liked out of Shadows of Om, the second of the Baldur's Gate games. I think it might technically be the third, but it is labeled Baldur's Gate 2. So I'm going to say second. And the thing that I'm thinking was the second and isn't actually the second, was just next time. Diversions. Um, but one of the things they did in Shadows of Om was there were 4 or 5 different strongholds you could get depending on your class.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all these different things. Like wizards had like this interdimensional orb thing where you could make magic items. Warriors had this stronghold. Sorry, literally one
Mm-hmm.
of the first like jobs you got was clearing out this stronghold of trolls, and then as a reward the person whose stronghold it used to be would give it to you because what use do
Okay.
they have for it? Their family is dead.
Um,
um
okay, okay.
and I used to make a lot of like fighter types back when I was playing that game, so I'd end up with the castle, and I never really got very far into Shadows of On 2 because reasons.
Okay.
But what I saw when working with that particular setup, I really liked that idea of just kind of, and it's maybe it's just because Baldur's Gate is a one-player game technically, but I liked it. It was cool.
Okay. Okay. Let's do. Yeah, it's so let me cover some history just so that we can kind of get on the same page before we have this discussion. So second edition Dungeons and Dragons had this thing where once you hit like around somewhere, I think it's like a mid game thing, like eighth to 12th level, somewhere around there, you would naturally begin attracting people, and depending on your class, people would come to you, and you would get a you would essentially get a stronghold kind of thing. You would get a wizard's tower, you would get like a church, like depending on your class and all this stuff. And because second edition very much required you to go like, oh, We killed the dragon. Cool. There's a hoard of treasure here. Cool. My hirelings are outside. Like, I came in, but I have some hirelings here with me that were like holding the door open and like keeping some of the skeletons at bay. And then we killed the dragon. They were like fighting off the kobolds, keeping the kobolds from entering the area. We killed the dragon. Then we kill the kobolds, and then we send out a hireling runner who goes in out there, and they bring in people, and they get wheelbarrows of treasure, and they load it up onto the wagons. And when we protect the wagons back to our stronghold, and that was the adventure in second edition. That's what you did. That was what happened. And you would need these hirelings. The hirelings were vital to your success in second edition. If you didn't have them, then you would have to like go like, okay, I don't get as much treasure, and then somebody else would take over the cave, and then you have to go and fight them if you wanted to get back some of the treasure, or looters would come and like a bunch of other, or and then other people would get all the money. So
I like this hilarious mental image I have of a barbarian going, okay, I'm gonna stay here. This is mine now. This is my new home. If you guys want me to keep traveling with you, I'm gonna need you to get some guys to like stay here and protect my stuff.
But well, it's not exactly like that. No, like it's more like
It,
you so before you got to that point, people would be like, "Oh my God, you're the hero. You're the wild man from the north, and you have been like destroying things. Oh my gosh, we want to serve you because of how awesome and cool you are." And you're like, "Oh,
as is natural and correct.
yeah, all of my stands are here, and I am going to abuse them with my power, my influential power, and make them my serfs." And that's how the game was, right? You have uh, so, and then Acquisitions Inc. gave you kind of like a franchise, as they called it, but the you had roles in that franchise, and you had like a shared franchise building in Acquisitions Inc. And I think Eberron did something about a group patron. Essentially, I think it's more similar to what I'm doing with the Problem Solver Sanctuary in our campaign, in that it's sort of like the city funds this thing and provides room for you guys. So while you're here and you're helping, you get access to certain things. That way, it's sort of like, don't worry about it. Like it's kind of like a pseudo wealth system kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it just kind of hand waves some stuff so that way we can focus on the other aspects of play that sometimes are more interesting. Um, because as much as we only had ever had one player who was really into tracking like their rations and their equipment, but they were also like really psychotic about it because they would try and carry around too many bear traps, and they kept like overburdening themselves because it's like I actually have the bear
Oh,
traps on me, and I would
yeah, let me carry 6 25-pound bear
I
traps.
actually I think it limited him to three because of how yeah, it was like a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah, along with like I have five swords on. It's like, dude, get a wagon, get a freaking wagon, hire somebody. Okay, you're now gonna spend you're gonna spend 4 silver a day to have this guy drive your wagon for you. Okay, or a week actually. Sorry, it's like 2 silver a week. So you're gonna spend 4 silver a week on this guy, and this guy's gonna drive your wagon for you. You guys make more than that, you know, uh, per
You could
day.
pay him an even gold and just straight up buy his loyalty for life.
Yeah. So it's like, like you can pay him like a few gold and just go like, okay, you're gonna be with us for this many months. So here's the gold. You can like leave some behind with your family and only carry like some pocket change so that you can deal with stuff. But you're rolling with us, and then and then just have them drive the wagon, and like that's so. what this sort of thing does is it angles you towards a resource management style gameplay whenever you start dealing with hirelings, and helpers and homes and bastions and fortresses, wizards towers, things like that. As soon as you start dealing with that, you start dealing with a type of resource management that can be fun, but I think, from my experience, actually, so what I have experienced is more than what I think is what I have experienced is that that kind of fun is better when we have a calendar and you have distances that you have to travel and it takes time.
Fallstar over here playing eighth dimensional chess.
Well, I mean, it's true though. Like you have seen it, you've experienced it. The the
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it adds stress, but it's definitely more fun. All right, so and do you have it open?
Yeah, I'm looking at the design notes for Bastions right now.
Okay. So I'm gonna do a reading, and we'll go from there. And you're reading along so that way you can not have to focus too much on trying to understand my words because of
Hmm.
that. I have similar issues where somebody reading something to me, I go like, I cannot understand you. So
Indeed.
yeah.
I may actually lower your volume to focus on the reading. Shout if you need me.
Okay. But we'll start with the idea of Bastion. So it's like the bulk of the article is introducing the system. So let's go. A bastion is a location that belongs to a player character. So this is more second edition than Acquisitions Incorporated. So this is your home, a stronghold, or a place of power that the character nurtures and develops over the course of the campaign. So if you're a wizard, it would be like your wizard's tower. If you're a priest, it would be like you building a church and that sort of thing. Essentially, the downtime area. This and downtime is very important to us. I in our campaign. Uh, I think you guys have almost as much fun on downtime as you do with the exploring or the fighting.
It's definitely a lot of fun coming up with. I mean, granted, we mostly use it to try and check things off of our to-do list.
Well, yeah,
Um,
but it's sort of like,
I in particular like, and like it's
mhm.
definitely personal goals, but yeah, we definitely have fun during downtime.
Well, yeah, because it's like it gives you that chance to do your personal goals. It's not just like, oh yeah, we have to go to the next thing and kill the thing. Cool. Now we go to the next thing and we kill the thing. Cool. It's sort of like, yeah, we went to the next thing. Where's the what's our current problem? Our current problem right now is that a mile in this, not even a mile, like 50 miles in the sky, almost in outer space, is a frozen castle that is creating an ice storm near a town, and it actually caused a bunch of people to have to evacuate. And
Hmm.
your guys are stuck in a permanent winter as long as this frozen castle is up in the sky.
It's a real pain in the ass, and I am not a fan.
And it's actually so cold that it's actually so cold that it deals damage to you. Unless you're immune to cold damage, you are going to be taking damage while up there, and it keeps getting harsher and harsher. So you guys are developing a way to survive up there, A,
Hmm.
and then B, a way to get there and back securely. And then once you're there, you'll be able to go like, what is the actual solution? And you guys have a few ideas for solution because you've been doing research. You guys visited the
Hmm.
libraries. You guys have consulted with like your gods, and we've done a lot of roleplay with that. So
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so downtime is integral to our gameplay, and I feel like this is them trying to make what we've been doing essentially and put it in, and this is like their idea for it. So, continuing on, it's up to the DM to decide whether bastions are available in a campaign. Bastions are best suited to campaigns that allow characters to return to their bastions during intervals when they're not actively adventuring. This is better if you're always adventuring near a specific city or town, or within it. It's not that great if you're world hopping. You would want to do. I would recommend like doing some sort of traveling Bastion or going to Acquisition Sync, because Acquisition Sync has like you could have like a boat be your Bastion in that case, I feel. And
Yeah.
you can kind of like, you know, square some things off and like restrict certain things because it's on a boat. But I feel like you're looking at more of that kind of thing, or a spelljammer ship, or a spaceship, or an interdimensional tavern. You could have an interdimensional tea shop and have that be your Bastion at some point if that's what you're doing, and maybe just start it up later in the campaign.
Hmm.
But that's kind of like what you're looking at. All right, so it's up to the DM to decide, and you really only want to be doing this if you get to keep going back to it. Which I kind of solved that by doing the problem solver sanctuaries with the wherever you put your key in a problem solver sanctuary, that becomes your room,
Hmm.
and it moves your room from the other solver sanctuary to this one.
Yeah.
So there's no need to choose between going on adventures and commanding a bastion. A character can do both at once. A bastion has special facilities that generate in-game benefits, and these facilities can also undertake projects while the character is otherwise preoccupied. So they're intended to be havens for the characters who own them, and although random events might test the bastion from time to time, the bastion can be destroyed in only two ways. And so the idea is you would have events happen, but the DM should not constantly be going like, okay, I'm going to try and kill your thing. I'm going to try and kill your thing. I'm going to try and kill your thing. That is stupid. Um,
The story should not be about the Bastion.
right.
The Bastion is like, if anything important happens at the Bastion, it's an OVA. It's not part of the main storyline. It's
Uh,
Goku saves Christmas.
well, no. I think that it's not that it's an OVA, but it should be a filler episode. And you know, like they caught up to the original manga, and
Hmm.
they need to do something, and so the anime writers make an episode, and they all go to the beach, or a random thing that acts exactly like the thing that they just dealt with comes in, but it's funny now, and it's stupid, and it gets resolved in one or two episodes. That's the Bastions. That's what should be happening with the Bastions. That's the importance of it. It should be something that happens, you resolve it, and you move on, and it should not be a way for you to punish the players or for you to go and like damage the players with it.
This is not a toy for you to take away.
Yeah, I had to kind of like really reinforce with you guys that you should feel safe leaving things at a problem solver sanctuary, because I didn't want you guys to go, well, we have to keep this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, the things you guys have to keep safe is the artifacts. The artifacts
Yeah.
you shouldn't leave behind. Everything else, yeah, go ahead. So so yeah, so far, I'm liking what they're saying. Like this is in line with a lot of design philosophy that I have. Most importantly, Bastion is a creative playground for a player and a shared storytelling space for the in the campaign. The M's should be as permissive as possible with the stories players tell in their Bastions, but players should know their control goes only as far as the campaign's larger story, which the DM strives to make fun for everyone. So this is another fun thing right here. This is essentially saying that in the Bastion, you can create little romance side plots, and you can do this, and this can happen, but you only have control. You only have Bastion level control. So what you're doing in the Bastion should not then leak out all over the campaign either. So it's sort of like it's like a respect each other's story kind of thing.
You can't resolve the campaign from within the Bastion's actions. At best, you might be able to influence it by doing something that gives you a leg up.
Yeah. So,
Maybe.
well, the idea is that you're gonna do something in the Bastion that then gets handed off to you, and then you go with it, and the DM goes, "Oh yes, that will do XYZ," and then you get XYZ. in the main campaign, and that's how that kind
Yeah.
of was supposed to be going. So they have some design notes here about defenders and hirelings, which is they don't present or require statistics for the Bastion hirelings and defenders. All a player needs to track is the number of each in their Bastion. Players can assign names and personalities to the occupants as they see fit, and then there's a GP expenditure, which is it gives new ways to spend your gold, but we want the gold they spend to make them happy as opposed to feeling like mortgage payments. So again, it's telling you don't try to make this super real, just have fun with it. And I feel like that's really important as well. So these are great design notes. These are great little like, hey DM, you were not striving for reality here. This isn't the goal, which is where a lot of the hireling issues kind of would come up with before. Is you would need the hirelings to get the gold. That's kind of like a realistic thing, but then some DMs would go way too harsh on that. Um, so yeah, they're not even giving stats to the hirelings and the defenders. There's no stat blocks. So
Mhm.
these are not people that you're gonna go like, haha, you said I had 50 people. That means I have 50 guards that have this much hit points and this much to hit. No, 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 no. That's not what we're doing.
So I custom built my defender stat blocks. As you can see, they're all level 29 fighter wizards.
That's
You know,
no. Yeah, we're not doing that, right? So that's kind of like
and the reason they don't leave is that they're agoraphobic.
yeah. So how do you get a bastion? Let's look at that. Gaining a bastion. If you allow bastions in your campaign, characters acquired when they reach level 5. Um, you and the players can decide together how these bastions come into being. A character might inherit, receive a parcel of land um, where they can build it. They might have take a pre-existing structure and refurbish it. It's pretty much a behind the scenes of the campaign um, kind of thing. So
The
whatever, how,
general idea I got was that you decide you're going to implement bastions. You tell everyone at level 5 that, hey, your bastions are done. Talk to me about how that got set up so that you get something you like.
yeah, they're essentially saying they're hand waving it. They're like, look, you figure it out. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
That's not the important part of the Bastion system. So that way you can fit it in anywhere you want. I could implement this for you guys as rooms in a problem solver sanctuary, right? Like I can literally take this and implement it right now. You can add this to Acquisitions Inc. as additional rooms in your guys' shared franchise in that. So there's a lot of little things like this can kind of add on everywhere because it's such an independent system that that it kind of like it's very much a fully optional add-on that just provides benefits and fun is the goal. Like that's what they're
Yes.
saying. That's what their goal of this is, right? So the shape, the style, the function are entirely up to you as a player to determine. So they give an example: a wizard might want to build a tower, a cleric wants a shrine, a fighter might want to build a fortified keep or a similar stronghold, a rogue might want to establish a guild hall or a lodge. You might want to make a pub. You might want to have a ritual a ritual location. Like you got options, is what it's saying, right?
Mhm.
And not everybody needs to have a bastion. It's okay for some players to get it and others to not. So the ones who don't can still get benefits from their friends' bastions. Each player would have their own bastion. You guys can team up and make a group bastion. There's a lot of options. So the main thing is that.
It
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it might just be. I don't know if this is me being a power gamer or me looking at our current like player group composition and
Hmm?
being like, yeah, nah, nobody would opt out. I'm struggling to come up with a reason why somebody would, other than my character wouldn't do that.
You also have some
Like,
players who are like, I don't want to deal with thinking about this. That's not what I'm here for, and that very much could be it. Um, and a lot of
mm,
stuff with Bastion because it's and we'll get to this later, but a Bastion kind of action takes 7 days. It's very much a one of those things where you can just go, this is going to happen, and you can handle whatever the results are in downtime. You can handle it over Discord. You can handle it outside the game. You can start the game like the people who want to do bastions show up early. We'll run your bastions at the beginning, or we'll run your bastions at the end of the session. Um, and that way it doesn't necessarily
get
interfere
in the
with
way of
the
other stuff.
yeah, or interfere with the players who are not doing bastion stuff. So every bastion contains basic and special facilities. And it has just pretty much everything. It's like a kitchen, bathrooms, bedrooms, fantastical menageries, magical laboratories, libraries, research facilities, summoning circles, teleportation circles. You can just do a lot
You know, the
here.
essentials.
Yeah, yeah, you can do a lot here. So you can add to the add basic facilities at any time. All you need to do is spend money and time on it. And each bastion begins with two special facilities, and you get additional special facilities at 9, 13, and 17. So that's one, two, three upgrade points where you can get more special facilities, and you start with at least two. So, um, so that's a great start. This and I looked ahead a little bit, and a lot of special facilities reminds me of when I was trying to run the war game where you guys were, I don't know, were you involved in the war game?
I think so.
Yeah.
I want to say I was a cleric druid, or
But
like,
you guys had like NPC units that were like full on, like, you were in control of an NPC unit, and so
yeah.
on their turn you would give commands, they would do the commands, and you would kind of control their turns, and
Mm-hmm.
you guys would get, hold on. Okay, so we had the war campaign, and so you guys had special units, and as part of the special units, you would give commands and things like that. But I was creating kind of like um, I was creating like a set of buildings that would allow you to like do certain special commands and gain access to certain features. Very much like a 4X strategy game. Uh, like StarCraft, Warcraft, Command and Conquer, where you would make buildings to kind of manufacture certain units and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hold on. Okay, so yeah, so you would make certain buildings that you could use to manufacture certain abilities and units and things like that. And a lot of the Bastion special rooms are very much places like that. So we talked about it earlier, Bastion churn. So this is the amount of time that it takes for a Bastion to do something. And I get why they standardized it because it's sort of like how an action is standardized,
Yeah.
or a round is standardized. So a round for um a
The
churn.
more things are standardized, the easier it is to just kind of say, here is the block you need and move on with your day.
Right. And so I understand that it makes certain things to me like have it, like it ups the cost of certain things that I think should be a lower cost, and it lowers the cost of certain things that I think should be at a higher cost. So,
Does
um
not account for fiddly bits sufficiently.
yeah. So, because I mean you can always say, "Oh, this takes 3 turns." Well, 3 turns is 21 days. But you can't really say half a turn. So that's kind of the only. I would prefer a smaller measurement, but I understand why, because like a week is very standardized. So
Mm-hmm.
so as time passes in your campaign, the characters take bastion turns to reflect the activity occurring in their bastions, whether or not the characters are present. So you don't have to be there for the things to be happening. You can issue a command, and things will happen with the command you issued. So
Yep.
again, this is a way to have time in your campaign. If this is how they're making time pass in the campaign, this is excellent. This is the thing that I strived so much to communicate in the calendar episode of our podcast was that time and time management makes the game better. And you just need to figure out what it is that you need to make it be a thing for the game to be better for you.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Bastion churn occurs every 7 days in game. The DM can alter the frequency of bastion churns. So they recommend making it churn slower if you are going to do like extended downtime.
Mm-hmm.
But which I understand why, because they're like some of these things will generate way too much money. You can go, yeah, I'm just gonna be at home for like 3 months, and suddenly you have like 12 weeks worth of like money and work that you got out of it.
I have decided to focus on my bastion for the next 7 years.
Yeah.
I am going to accumulate so many points.
So, and that's kind of why they're like, well, don't do that. But it's, yeah, we'll get to that later. I think some of the math needs to work on, but we'll get to that
Mhm.
when we cross that point in the discussion here. So, on a bastion turn, the character can issue orders to the special facilities in their bastion, or issue the maintain order to the entire bastion. Cool. We're gonna get it on that. So you can issue orders. Perfect. Okay. How bastion turns work. Do you mind reading this so I can get some water?
Sure. By default, bastion turns occur every 7 days, giving characters regular opportunities to issue orders to their bastions and reap the benefits of doing so. Typical situations include you're on a long journey from your bastion after you've had 7 days. Uh, you aren't there, so you take your bastion turn to maintain. Uh, then you check for events. Uh, Maybe you're at the bastion for over a week between adventures. Depending on maybe the DM just says, "Yeah, you've been here for 6 weeks. Go ahead and do this 6 times." Um, you may end up popping in and out real quick to and getting a turn while you're there, just kind of between dealing with whatever crisis is at hand. Uh, and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe the adventure is happening in the area. So since you're already there anyways, after about a week, you get a bastion turn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of like the different potential ways a bastion turn could throw down.
Yeah, and
Uh,
again, I really feel like I resolved a lot of issues with that by just making the problem solver sanctuary and then just having that move around with the player.
mhm.
So, but that's not a very personal thing. You guys aren't really personalizing that, and bastions are about more personal things. So, again, this is very much a if you're going to be in a neighborhood campaign, if you're always going to be by Baldur's Gate, and at most you go, you leave for like a month or two and then come back, and that's where most of your adventure is going to be. This makes sense. Um, but I could see maybe you have an NPC that follows you, kind of representing that. Um, I mean, what kind of things we do? We do sending stones constantly in our campaign.
Yeah.
You would just issue orders through a sending stone. Maybe you can set up a courier. Ooh, there we go. Now it's sort of like every other week you get to at least do something. and that's why it's a slower pace on the Bastion turns. Um,
Yeah.
mhm.
Send orders by pigeon.
Let's go. And then go ahead and finish the last two paragraphs on that.
Sometimes you might want to slow the pace of Bastion turns. If the characters have a long period of downtime between adventures, you might call for a Bastion turn every month instead of every 7 days. Quote, aim for about 6 to 8 Bastion turns per level. If the characters are adventuring at a breakneck pace and gaining a level every week, they'll have no time to enjoy the benefits of their Bastions. And on the flip side, if they're just hanging out at the Bastion for extended periods of time, spacing those turns out means they don't get more points than they can use.
Yeah. And so this kind of brings up one of the things that I kind of did, that because downtime was so important to me. One of the major, actually, hold on. Bye. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Sorry. And we're picking up here. One of the things, so yeah, so as far as time goes, one of the things that I did to kind of give you guys a reason to downtime is I said it so that you can't level unless you spend at least 1 week per level leveling up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was more so that you guys downtime. So you guys don't keep chasing the next thing to do. Because I would be like, oh, cool, you guys are handling downtime stuff. I have breathing room to come up with something that's happening. Because sometimes things were not going to happen so constantly, and it would be like, okay, what's the next thing, what's the next thing, and I'd be like, well, technically this is going to take a while if I really sit here and think about what is happening in the campaign. It takes time for activities and evil to occur. They have to build up, they have to amass. If you guys are just getting rid of everything left and right, I'm going to be like, nothing is happening.
Okay, we did it. We got caught up. We took all the evil down. Okay, everybody take like 10 minutes, eat a biscuit. If it doesn't crop back up, we'll talk about leveling up.
Well, yeah. Well, like because in normal campaigns, what happens is it's sort of like you could be mid battle and you could level up. You can finish a fight, level up, and then go and fight the boss. And this can happen in regular D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind that. That's perfectly fine. That's actually, there's a lot of narrative behind that where it's sort of like, you guys just spent a long adventuring day. You've been fighting. Well, guess what? You all leveled up. It's like, yeah, you have like a little bit extra hit points and you have like another spell slot that you can use. And you're like, well, perfect. I really needed that fireball right now. And now you walk in and you're like, fireball, bitch. Um, and, and so there's different things like that that you can do with
Yeah.
with D&D. But if you're doing it that way, what happens is it's sort of like you're always ready to go. You have a long rest, and we're ready for the next fight.
Yep.
And so alternate rules that kind of like slow that down really help kind of give people breathing room for downtime. And a lot of adventure packs and modules don't really allow for that. You're not going to have this level of downtime in, let's say, Barovia fighting Strahd. So,
Yeah, no, it's one thing after another in Barovia.
yeah. So that's why it's like modules are great little one-shot things, but like entire campaign book things like that, um, it's it has too many activities per second.
Mm-hmm.
And you as the dungeon master have to really control the pace. You have to slow it down. And you can do that, but you have to do that in a way that's going to be beneficial to the players. Adding the Bastion, especially in Barovia, you're not leaving Barovia, so a Bastion in Barovia would make sense. Um, especially if you're going to have the entire thing take, years of spending time in that town of not being able to escape, that makes a lot more sense than, not. But then you kind of lose everything when you leave. So you need to make sure that you go. It's like, oh, we escaped. It's like, well, you fall, you come across this one place. You kill all the trolls inside, and now you have a stronghold. Isn't this what happened in Baldur's Gate 2? Just
Pretty
shush,
much.
shush, I say. Um,
What? Stealing material? We never do that.
all right, so never. I, I am
Doesn't happen.
I am I am insulted that you would ever suggest that I would ever steal anything.
Who are you quoting right
Some guy.
now?
Uh, all right, so Bastion points. Essentially, the special facilities in your bastion generate bastion points, or BP. This is not British Petroleum; it's bastion points. Um, so during
That joke is probably funny to the British.
uh, BP oil is not funny. They've done a lot of harm to the Gulf of Mexico. Um, so during the bastion churn, depending on the facility and the bastion order issued, they'll generate bastion points. Players are responsible for tracking their bastion points. They can't be transferred between characters, and they have to spend the bastion points to get the things from the bastion or to receive their rewards. So you build up bastion points. The bastion points are spent to get things out of your bastion. So that's why you issue orders. That's why the bastions are there. It's a resource, it's a type of money. And it's an imaginary type of money, unlike real money, which is not based on an imaginary concept at all.
Indeed.
Or like your gold pieces, which are also not imaginary in the same way. This is more nebulous than that because there's no direct one-to-one translation in value. It's just
You absolutely cannot buy or sell bastion points.
exactly. It's more like influence, connections, the idea that you met the right person or somebody in your group did. It is much more nebulous, right? And so, uh,
Mhm.
um, so what it means to have accumulated it, what it means to spend it, it can you can kind of come up with the story behind it because you could have a bunch of bastion points, spend it to get a magic item, and then just have somebody go, yeah, this guy came to visit and he left this, and then when we went to find him, it turns out he was dead, and so he had no next of kin, and so it's ours now. Cool, that's how we got the magic item, and you now have spent the bastion points to have gotten that magic item. That's how that was spent. um
I am gonna hoard so many bastion points.
so um So there's you can come up with whatever way, right? So how do you get it? So do you mind reading the accumulation?
When characters issue orders to special facilities in their bastions, those facilities generate bastion points. Sort of. The basic facilities, they're not worth anything. Ignore that. Specifically, the special facilities, their descriptions indicate the number of bastion points the facility generates when it completes an order. If a character issues the maintain order to the bastion, each special facility instead generates 1d4 bastion points. So since you start with two special facilities, the maintain order gets you 2d4.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Special facilities that have been shut down or lost their hirelings because of an event don't generate bastion points while they're out of commission. So try not to experience events that result in everyone being completely unavailable. Unless them being completely unavailable is because they're at a party. In which case, you gotta keep morale up, you know?
Yes, you have to throw the pizza party. That
Throw the pizza party and make sure they're paid well enough.
yeah.
One or
Actually,
the other doesn't cut it.
right. Studies. The news article that says that studies show that people prefer pizza parties to additional compensation is a lie. I think it's an actual Onion article. I'm not sure.
Um, it and like the thing is, I kind of get it. I understand the idea of a pizza party being better than compensation if you're already making enough that you live comfortably. You know?
Yeah. I, there's a number out there, depending on where you live, where like after you start
Like,
making $90,000 a year, the additional money does not provide additional happiness. And I think in
yeah,
California it's 120,000. Um,
yeah,
so
yeah. It's not like none of this is a straight line or anything.
no.
There's interactions you got to account for.
Right,
And
but once
Pizza
you
Party's reputation is because people aren't accounting for that.
right.
Um, but yeah, we're all broke here, so fuck pizza parties. Am I right?
Yeah, it's better than no pizza party, but it's not better than more money.
Correct.
So, so you can influence the rate. What is it? You can influence the rate of generating Bastion
Characters
points.
can use money to influence the rate at which facilities generate. I just said you can't buy Bastion points. What is this?
The direct contradiction. It's actually a direct contradiction of what they were saying earlier about not being able to share Bastion points. So,
Spending 25 gold when issuing a Bastion order to a facility allows the player to roll the die for that facility's Bastion point generation twice and use the higher result. Okay,
it's
so
advantage.
You don't buy the Bastion points. You buy a chance at more Bastion points.
You buy
which
advantage.
Is different.
Here's the thing that upsets me is they have the term advantage. They could have said that you get to roll it with advantage.
They've used the term advantage for non D20s. What is this?
No, I don't think they have. I'm the only one, I think. I'm the one who has been using the term advantage for non D20s.
Oh.
I don't think they
in
have.
that case, at least it's consistent. Stupid, but consistent. Which Pinkertons, so I'm not surprised.
Well, they should be using the term advantage for everything. Because I replaced the if you roll a 1, you get to re-roll on once, and you have to take the next number. I just said you roll the damage with advantage. Easier to understand.
Yeah. Way less words, easier to understand. Like, what's the issue?
So you can't use the order on the maintain, only when you actually give an order. So the default maintain, nothing. And so that means that you should always issue an order if you have the ability to issue an order. And
especially if you're only getting like 6 to 8 of these, absolutely you want to be packing as many orders in as you can.
Yeah. It's really interesting about the 6 to 8 for per level, because that means that they expect the pace of leveling up to be the same throughout.
Yeah, they expect it to take about 6 to 8 weeks to go from level 5 to level 6.
And from level 16 to level 17.
Correct.
So. Yeah. Acquiring magic items. Each time a character gains a level, they can spend their Bastion points to acquire a single magic item. Any magic item acquired in this fashion must be approved by the DM, and the Bastion point cost of each magic item is based on the item's rarity, as shown in the spending Bastion points table. If a rarity has a level prerequisite, the character must be that level or higher to get the item. A character,
Aww.
yeah. So, so pretty much you claim it, you spend the Bastion points, blah blah blah. So, Common items, no level prerequisite, 20 Bastion points. Uncommon, no level prerequisite, 70 Bastion points. Um,
You're gaining 8 at most if you only maintain.
yeah.
I am very curious about what the actual facilities offer. That's how many bastion points it takes to get an uncommon item.
Well,
Because
so if you let's say and you're starting this at level 5, right? So at level 5, you have two facilities. Let's say both facilities are giving you um D4s, but let's say you're getting like 4 because you're issuing commands. So let's average that out to like 4 each. You're getting 8. 8 times 8 is 64. You don't even get the uncommon
yeah.
unless you're lucky with your rolls and you're issuing stuff. That
Mm-hmm.
So you're spending 25 gold to get advantage on those dice. So you're spending 8 times 25. So you're spending 200
200.
gold to try and hit this so that you can get that uncommon magic item. And you're saving across 5 levels of not spending Bastion points to get to the rare. Because don't
Mm-hmm.
forget, you're not getting the additionals until 9, 13. Yeah, it's the same 9, 13, and 17. Your ability to get these additional magic items upon level up is based on is the same rate at which you get a new room. So it's really interesting. So characters who have reached 20 can use the Bastion points to acquire a magic item each time they earn a bonus feat. So every 30,000 experience above 355,000 experience points.
In 0.14 parlance, that's the epic boons thing, where you
Mm-hmm.
continue adventuring after 20th level.
Yeah.
Because you can't gain levels anymore. 20th is too big.
Yeah. So after that, you just get feats. And
Boon of multiclass.
so let's see. Other uses of Bastion points. On gaining a level, a character can spend 10 Bastion points to ensure that word of their heroic deeds spreads throughout the region. For the next 7 days, the character has advantage on all charisma checks while within 50 miles of their Bastion. And if they die, they can spend 100 Bastion points to return to life in their Bastion at the next dawn. After spending Bastion points this way, the character can't do so again until gaining at least 1 level.
Mm-hmm.
So once per level, 100 Bastion points. So now,
Oh yeah, that magic items thing. I, as a person who don't read the DMG, that doesn't matter anymore. I'm gonna do the not dying option. Thanks.
better.
I'm gonna wake up with a hangover in my house.
It's like, oops, I got a magic item. I guess I'm not coming back. So
Yeah, that's gonna be tricky at best to incorporate into your world, and I think that one has to kind of be ignored a little bit, or it has to do something different from stated, unless
yeah, I mean,
you've got
it's
something I'm not aware of that lets it be incorporated properly.
yeah, because one of the big things in my campaign is that I was like, well, dying does not, uh, being resurrected is not full resurrection. When you get resurrected, you're a zombie, you're a reborn, or whatever the one is called.
Yeah.
So the idea being that it's sort of like a creepy thing. It's supposed to be a negative. It's supposed to be so that you can let go of your character and make a new character because you're unlocking more races and classes as time goes on. And the idea was, to kind of do a roguelike. Not what ends up happening. Everybody got too attached to their characters, and well, no, not everybody. One person got too attached to
One
their
person
character.
got way too attached to their one character, and everybody else just didn't die.
Yeah. Well, and the people who died moved on. They made new characters. So
Pretty much immediately, yeah.
And
Well, I mean, one of them didn't have the option, but
yeah, but they I feel like they're much happier with their secondary characters overall too. So it's not a whole thing.
yes, everyone who made new characters is happy with their new characters. Shut up.
This would definitely be a thing where like, oh yeah, you guys have you have 100. As you begin to fade away, they teleport, summon circle you, and you're teleported back to the sanctuary, where you wake up, and you're fine the next day. Like you have to take a long rest, but you're fine the next day. There you go. That's how that works. Well, no, you wake up and you have the level 3 injury. That has to happen, right? So that's
Yeah, no, that's fair.
yeah, you know. So
Wake up with a level 3 injury. We take those.
yeah, so and it doesn't happen until the next day. So everybody else still has to save their own hides out of it. But if everybody had,
Yeah.
but here's my problem is that if you guys are about to level up anyways, you guys are going to be like, okay, we need to get out of here. Hey, do you see that lava down there? And you guys just jump into the lava.
No, because then we lose all our shit we just got. Thanks.
Well, no, you get because the whole thing is that I'm saying this is that you get teleported, so you're like, wah! Or you guys like, suicide pact and like,
I'm not gonna let you turn
and like freaking knife gut yourselves.
No, not reincarnate. I'm not gonna let you turn coming back from the dead into fast travel.
Well, that's
You
yeah.
smarmy ass.
I'm not. I'm saying that if this is what I was doing, this is what you guys would do. You would turn it into fast travel.
I want to argue with you, but I've met Indigo.
So
Indigo would absolutely shove everyone else in the lava and then fly the rest of the way back herself.
yeah. So
It was convenient. What's the problem?
yeah. So when a character gains the Bastion, it comes with two basic facilities, two special facilities. The space determines the maximum area in 5-foot squares, as shown in the table below. Blah blah blah. So pretty much, you start with cramped, roomy, and then vast.
Mm-hmm.
Maximum area 4 squares, 16 squares, 36 squares. So
Which is super important if you're going to be actually navigating the Bastion.
mhm.
I haven't seen anything yet that says it's going to be important. Having it be an option is kind of nice, but
Well, let's go immediately down to where it says it's important. So you get to make a map. Um,
a player is very subtly encouraged to create a floor plan.
So you get you have your closets, your windows, your corridors and ramps, your defensive walls, and you can spend money on that. I am. A lot of this is like going like, look at the DMG for the, XYZ. These features come free. Defensive walls cost money. You can spend 250 gold pieces and 10 days to make a 5-foot square of the defensive wall. This is Warcraft 2 all over again. And then you can combine bastions with your friends into a single structure. It doesn't change the number of special facilities. It doesn't change anything on how anything works. You still have 2 individual bastions. It's just that now you can.
It's sort of like having your best friend be your next door neighbor.
It helps you build the wall and only have to build one wall kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like when my dad had to get his neighbors to help him pay for a fence around his house.
Yeah.
And the one neighbor wasn't having it, so there was an argument. Okay.
Yeah. And then you have the basic facilities. They don't generate points. They are just there to roleplay and kind of enhance the verisimilitude. Essentially, like make it feel more real, make it feel like it actually exists. And so that's the kitchen. You can have like a little water cooler area, dining hall, things like that. Bedroom, courtyard, dining room, kitchen, parlor, storage, washroom. basic things. You get two of those.
There is something deeply wrong with the American people right now, because our fantasy at the moment is to have any two of a bedroom, a dining room, a kitchen, and a bathroom.
Well, don't forget,
And if we have any two of those, we can't have a closet.
well, one of them is cramped and the other is roomy. So one is 4 squares and the other is 16. And it comes with non-magical furnishings, and these are the free. You get 2 of these for free. The rest you have to build. So, and you can enlarge it by spending gold and in-game time. And it talks about it more coming up. So, adding basic features. It takes 20 days, 45 days, and 125 days by scale of the room. So a cramped room, 500 gold pieces, 20 days. So that's for 4 squares, it's 500 gold pieces. For 16 squares, it's 1,000 gold pieces, and for 36 squares, it's 3,000 gold pieces. So the bigger the room, you kind of get more bang for your buck. And the amount of time that it takes is 20 days, 45 days, and 125 days to build these. So we're starting to look at a few months, more than a few months, like 4 months of game time, just to get like a really big 36 block room. And you can enlarge your basic facilities by paying essentially the difference. And also the difference in time. So literally, you can buy a cramped room for 500, and then make it roomy later by essentially spending the other 500 and the extra 25 days. So there's no you can just always start with cramped if you want, and then grow without losing anything. It's perfectly reasonable and fine.
Yeah, and cramped is still a 10-foot by 10-foot square. Like, I live in that. That's fine.
Yeah. It is cramped, but it is a livable. Special facility
for one person, for sure.
Yeah. Special facilities are where the special things happen, and you get 2 of them when you first start, and you can only choose one once unless it says otherwise. So you can't like have 2 of the one thing. At level 9, you get 2 more. 13, you get 1 more, and at 17, you get 1 more. They have a chart. Yeah.
Okay, 2, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. And each time you gain a level, you can replace one of them with another one. So again, assume that construction has been going on prior to the change. That means that a lot of these things, as soon as you level up, you get the thing, and you just go like, yeah, this was already happening. So you don't go and
Camera wasn't really on us when we were talking about it, but yeah, this has been a thing for a while.
Yeah. Whereas for me, I'd be like, okay, you guys are leveling up. As part of that level up, the change can happen in my campaign because of how I run it, right? And that would be perfectly reasonable, I feel. Like, that's not going to be a big deal. And I would probably, like, curtail some of it within that. Like, I wouldn't have it be like, yeah, I made it bigger, or, like, I got this, I changed it from this to this kind of thing. So, yeah. I wouldn't force, like, additional time. It'd be just, like, yeah, it happens within that time period. So, each special facility has a level. So you have to wait until certain levels to get certain facilities.
That's fair.
Which is why you want to be able to, like, when you level up, be able to have swapped it over. And you need, some facilities require some prerequisites. So in some cases, you need to be able to cast spells or have an arcane focus to get an arcane study, or you have to be using a druidic focus to get like something like, so they have a bunch of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to know a martial maneuver to be able to get, you know, this other one kind of thing. Um,
Let's see.
and they each
Bard, Warlock, Sorcerer, but I play like a fighter.
but
I'm not gonna want the facilities I qualify for, am I?
so each facility takes up a certain amount of space. And a special facility can't be enlarged unless its description says otherwise. Um, the hirelings, each facility comes with a number of hirelings um, that can work it, and the
Mm.
hirelings are the ones that execute the bastion orders. A player can assign names and personalities. This is not the thing that matters to the
Yeah.
mechanics. So you go have fun with it. And it's assumed to,
My hirelings are robots.
and then each facility is assumed to generate enough income to pay the salary of its hirelings. And so they'll follow the orders given and are assumed to be loyal to you. Again, so this is not meant to be like, I'm gonna sneak in a spy for the DM. You don't want to make them paranoid. You don't want them shaking down their hirelings every time.
This is a safe space.
Which is another thing that I kept pushing for the Problem Solver Sanctuary. You have to make sure that the players feel safe about certain things so that way they'll use it. Otherwise, they are not going to use it and it's going to become a whole thing. And then all the stuff that you worked hard on doesn't get played with. And then you get upset. And it's like, well, why were we going to trust you? You keep sneaking in, you know? Bad guys into our ranks. It's become such a common story on like the D&D forums and stuff that it makes me kind of go like, this is, people have got to be bored with it by now, right? Like,
You would hope.
so and then you have orders. You issue special orders called Bastion orders. Character needing issue orders to all the special facilities in a turn. So if you don't have something to do, you don't have to give the order. It just gets maintained. Maintenance is assumed to generate money. So that means that your bastion, whatever special facilities you have, are doing something within the world that it's generating income. Whatever that is, it's figuring itself out.
Mm-hmm.
So the orders you can do, you can order them to craft. So they begin crafting an item that facility can make. You can also do the work yourself, but if you do so, the work is suspended when you leave, and until you return. And during the time required to craft the item, you can't be used to craft anything else, even if a special ability allows it to carry out two orders at once. So if you're crafting, that's all you're doing in that facility. You can empower, where you confer temporary empowerment to the player character or someone else. So I think this is like based on different facilities. So you must have multiple facilities
Yeah.
that can do different kinds of empowerment, multiple facilities that can do different kinds of crafting, multiple facilities that can do different kinds of harvesting, where the hireling goes out and gathers something.
Mm-hmm.
And again, all these days you can do it yourself, but when you're not doing it, you're not doing it. So just issue
Yeah.
the freaking order. And if you're crafting or if you're harvesting, it cannot also harvest. So just issue the order and walk away. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to also do it, at least according to how this is
Yeah.
worded. You have the maintenance where they just maintain it. If you issuing this order prohibits other orders from being issued during that turn, so each time the maintain order is issued, you just roll the d4 and that's it. You don't get the other stuff. And then DM rolls on the Bastion events table. Bastion events are resolved before the next Bastion turn. You can recruit hirelings or recruit creatures. You can research, and you can trade. So there you go. So at level 5, when you get the Bastion, you get to pick 2 of the following: Arcane Study, Armory, Barracks, Garden, Library, Sanctuary, Smithy, Storehouse, Workshop. Yeah. And they have different things that they can do. So they have different orders. So, like, you start off right away with being able to craft, trade, recruit, harvest, research. And you have multiple things that craft, multiple things that trade, and they have prerequisites of having expertise in a skill, having a fighting style or unarmored defense feature, having a holy symbol, druidic focus, or spellcasting focus, or having specifically an arcane focus. So those are your limits right away. Otherwise, there are no limitations. So for the armory, the barracks, the garden, the library, and the storehouse, you don't have any kind of limitations. You can just build those.
I qualify for all of these.
Because you also have a fighting style. Is that right?
As a swords bard, yes.
Yeah.
And expertise in a skill.
Right. So it's kind of...
oh, wait. I can't actually make the sanctuary because I can't use a holy symbol or druidic focus. So I can use the arcane study.
Yeah. Yeah. So the sanctuary is specifically kind of like the
priesty boys.
Yeah. All right. So let me go here.
Oh, that level 9 setup is worrying. Laboratory, none. Asterisk.
Well, let's see. Asterisk says certain orders can be issued if you have additional things. So while you don't need to have a prerequisite, certain orders can be done if you meet certain conditions.
Certain orders that can be issued to these facilities have additional prerequisites. So a laboratory or a scriptorum might be able to do something more than just crafting stuff.
Yeah. So, but all this stuff, we're gonna focus just on the level 5 stuff right now. Otherwise, we'll be here for seven years. So
7 years and a day.
So let's look at goes right away into what these are. So let's look at arcane study. This you need to have an arcane focus for. The space is roomy, so you can't have it be a cramped space. It has to be a roomy space.
It is roomy.
It is roomy, so that's the amount. It's going to take up 16 squares when you design it. It has 1 hireling, and you can order it to craft is an arcane focus. You can claim it so that you can have an arcane focus in case you lost one, or you can sell it for 10 gold pieces.
You can also make blank books if you spend that 10 gold you got for the basic arcane focus, and then it sells for 25, so you can sell it.
And it allows you to cast Identify. After spending a long rest in your Bastion, you can cast Identify once within the next 7 days without expending a spell slot or material components. Okay, so I can see why a wizard would want this. Here we go.
Another
Armory.
roomy room with 1 hireling and...
contains mannequins for displaying armor, hooks on the walls for holding shields. It's an armory. Great. It often connects or is situated near a barracks. If you're going to get 2 rooms, you'll probably want an armory and a barrack. When you issue the trade order to this facility, you commission the facility's hireling to stock the armory with armor, shields, weapons, and ammunition. This equipment costs you 100 gold, plus an extra 100 gold for each Bastion defender in your Bastion. If your Bastion has a smithy, the total cost is halved. While your armor
is stocked, your Bastion defenders are harder to kill. When any event causes you to roll dice to determine if your Bastion loses 1 or more of its defenders, roll a d8 in place of each d6 you would normally roll. When the event is over, the equipment in your armory is expended regardless of how many Bastion defenders you have or how many you lost, leaving your armory depleted until you issue another trade order to the facility and pay the cost to restock it.
So let's look at barracks. Barracks have 0 hirelings. More than 1 barracks, each of which is furnished to serve as sleeping quarters for up to 12 Bastion defenders. So that means you can have 12, so that's 1,200 armory gold to restock. Each time you issue the order to recruit, up to 4 defenders are recruited. The recruitment costs you nothing, and you can't issue the recruit order to this facility if it's fully occupied. Keep track of the number of Bastion defenders housed in each of your barracks. If you lose them, you deduct them from your roster. Assign names and personalities as you see fit. And you can enlarge this.
2,000 gold, and then it can hold up to 25 instead of up to 12.
All right, so you get a little bit more than double for making it bigger. Okay. You can have more than one garden. Each time you add a garden, you choose from the following options. Decorative, it's pleasing. Food garden, it has mushrooms and vegetables. Herb garden contains rare herbs, some of which have medicinal uses. Poison garden, stocked with plants and fungi from which poisons and antitoxins can be extracted. As noted, it takes 7 days and costs you no money. Decorative makes floral bouquets or 10 vials of perfume. Produces mushrooms and vegetables that can be sold in only 50. Gives you herbs that you can use to make a potion of healing. And the poison one can make 2 vials of antitoxin or 1 vial of basic poison. And then you can expand the garden. And it's just
stock.
Yeah, and it just doubles it.
The really interesting bit here is that you get 2 gardens per garden, and they can be different types.
Yeah.
So you can be like food, herb, poison.
Yeah. So, library contains a collection of books plus 1 or more desks and reading chairs. Sure. You can issue research order to the one hireling, and topic can be a legend, a known event or location, a person of significance, a type of creature, or a famous object. The work takes 7 days. The research concludes, and you obtain up to 3 accurate pieces of information about the topic that were previously unknown to you. The DM determines what information you learn. That is really great because it's like it has to be something you don't know. You get 3 that you don't know for sure. And this is a great way to move the story the fuck forward. Everybody failed their insight checks. You go, I have a library hireling. Find out information about this person. They're like, well, it turns out that they used to do this. They're currently doing this. And apparently they have plans to do that. And you go, well, fuck. I wish I knew that a week ago. Let's go, everybody. Roll out. Okay, Sanctuary. You have to have a holy symbol or druidic focus. Icons of your religion are displayed in this facility, which includes a quiet place for worship or spiritual practice. It lets you cast Healing Word. You can draw on the power of the sanctuary to heal yourself or another. After spending a long rest in your bastion, you can cast Healing Word once within the next 7 days without expending a spell slot. The spell's level is half of your level rounded down, which means that at higher levels, it does scale up automatically. It's so limited, and I know why it's limited. It's limited because you're kind of scared to make it too much. As long as you stop by and you spend a long rest in your bastion, you get the Healing Word. And even though you might replace this later, it does become a 9th level Healing Word later. You want to do Smithy?
Yes. Sure. You need a fighting style or the unarmored defense feature. It's roomy, there's 2 hirelings in there, and it lets you craft for D4 build points. Things it lets you make is ammunition or simple weapons. You can make 20 pieces of ammo. It takes 7 days and costs you half the normal price. If you go masterwork, it takes 14 days and costs you 800 gold. Masterwork Simple Weapon has no special properties until a magic weapon spell is cast on it. When that spell ends, the Masterwork weapon retains the magic permanently, becoming a +1 weapon.
Okay, that's an interesting way to give +1 weapons to the player. Like 800 gold pieces, and then you need a magic weapon spell. That's a interesting way to make magic weapon spell be a thing. It's never been a thing.
We put the spell in the game and nobody cast it, and we're mad. You commission hirings craft one of the following: a suit of medium or heavy armor that isn't hide. Hide armor needed more reasons to be excluded. 20 caltrops, a 10-foot chain, a crowbar, a grappling hook, a regular or sledgehammer, 4 horseshoes, the legendary hunting trap. A set of manacles, a miner's pick, 10 iron spikes or pythons, an iron pot, a metal shield, or a shovel. Work takes 7 days, or 21 for a suit of armor, costs you half the item's normal cost. So this is a good way to get full plate for 750.
Then martial weapon.
basically the same as simple weapon, only it takes 14 days to make a normal weapon, or 21 to take a masterwork, 800 gold to get a masterwork martial weapon, and it's the same thing. You cast magic weapon on it, it's permanently a +1 weapon after that.
I like this. I don't like that it takes 21 days to craft. The storehouse is next. Let's roomy.
It's a
one hireling.
roomy, one hireling trade room.
Okay. Cool dark space meant to contain trade goods, but can hold almost anything. You issue the trade order. They spend their next 7 days procuring non-magical items that have a total value of 500 gold pieces or less. Stores it. You bear a total cost of any purchases.
The total cost of any purchases, and the maximum value of the items purchased increases to 2,000 when you reach 9, 5,000 when you reach 13. When you sell goods from your storehouse, the buyer pays you 10% more than the standard price, increases to 20% at 9th, 50% at 13th, and 100% at 7th. So if your objective is raising large amounts of money, this is a good way to do that, because it gets you 50 gold every.
It definitely is more money than anything else, and especially later on, you're getting, you're getting 5K that you're doubling at level 17. Let's see. Workshop is a creative space where things can be crafted. After spending an entire short rest in your workshop, you get heroic advantage. That's the that's the hero point that you can get advantage on a roll. And then when you issue the craft order in this facility, a tiny non-magical object that can be made using and almost any of the artisan tools. This needs more information.
Yeah, it doesn't quite measure up to the other crafting options.
Fall of a Bastion. How does the Bastion fall?
You don't talk to it for a number of days equal to your character's level.
Number of turns.
20th level, number of turns, thank you.
Bastion turns, which is 7 days.
If you're a 20th level character and you are out of commission for 20 weeks or half the year, your Bastion just goes poof.
They abandon it, and it gets looted, and it's ruins. And these are the things that when you as an adventurer go, ooh, ruins! This used to be somebody's Bastion! Let's loot it.
I wonder if there's anything left after all the looting.
And you can give up the Bastion anytime. You can abandon it. Blah, blah, blah. You can start a new Bastion somewhere else. No matter what, the player can work with the DM to establish a new Bastion and use the special facility acquisition table to determine how many special facilities come with it. There's different things you can do. Like work with your DM with it is essentially, they're like, if nothing happens, nothing happens. Talk with your DM about it. I kind of don't necessarily like this. I can understand it. Here's an abandoning mechanic if you guys are gone for too long.
Yeah.
Again, though, if I have that kind of like, I'm going to create like a carrier pigeon service so that you guys can still slowly issue if you're going to be gone for too long. Like there's definitely, because none of this answers the question of, if you have a magic user who sends a message, if you can send an animal messenger to it and issue an order, no?
Yeah.
So does that count? Does that cover it? That's up to your DM. They're not even touching it though. They're not even coming close to it. They're like, "Were you there?" And I kind of feel like players
want to encourage us to use the system, but they're not encouraging us to use the system.
Yeah, so I kind of feel, though, that, like, as a DM, you can definitely work with your players to avoid falling if you know that you're going to be gone a while and still be able to issue orders. So that way a lot of the stuff can be like... Because, I mean, if I'm, like, telling you, it's like, hey, we're going to make a book, and then every week after that, you're going to be selling that book and then using that fund to make another fucking book, generating 15 gold pieces on top of all the other stuff that you guys do that generates money. So that way, when I come back, I'm making 15 gold pieces a week, and I can come back and collect that. Why is that not an order I can give? Why do I have to keep coming back and saying, make another book? Is like, this should be something that can function on its own while I'm gone. I can understand if my initial storehouse, I pay 500. And then every 2 weeks after that, there's a 50 gold profit, as it then makes 550 and then it spends that 500 again. Now I'm making 50 gold profit every 2 weeks. I should be able to just issue that order. But fine.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to implement this, players are going to try and come up with different ways. as a DM, I feel like you should be like, hey, you're clever enough or you have the resource to do it. Sure.
My Bastion is a caravan. It follows me wherever I go. Deal with it.
Well, what's the sending stones are an uncommon magic item, right?
They are, and that's 70 build points.
Okay, so okay guys, we're not going anywhere. I'm gonna generate 70 build points across 8 weeks. And it's sort of like, well, I'm gonna slow it down. Why? I'm trying to get a sending stone so I can issue orders while I'm away adventuring. Well, you issued too many orders, and now you can't do it until you level up. It's like there's so many things that kind of fight with you because of the cost of getting certain features. I am not leaving here until I have 100 build points. How is that not the thing that you do?
That's absolutely the thing that you do. A free resurrection every level? Yeah, no. Starting at level 5, you take those.
Yeah. So that's the only issue I have with like the fall of a bastion and the communication and the issuing of orders. That's the only little nitpick that I have so far. Some of these things are not doing a lot, but then again, we were looking at the level 5 stuff. Let's look at events because I feel like we should take in as much of the big picture before we start getting into the higher level specifics.
Yeah.
And growth of it. Because
this is stuff that happens universally.
Yeah, even at like even if this only ever stayed at 5th level, this has provided a bunch of stuff that is useful. So I don't have any issues with it. You can figure out scaling on healing potions and stuff later. There's a lot that you can figure out later. I'm not gonna sit here with it. As of right now, because it's like there's too much. It's like my mind is racing with all sorts of possibilities that this can generate from my crafting system alone, not to mention how I run the game and problem solver sanctuary stuff and all that. So,
oh wow, there is no reason to issue the maintain order if you can all get away with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the maintain order is there just when you're gone. That's what it's for.
Yeah. And even then, like, if you hit the maintain order, there's at least a 1 in 20 chance of just losing it because of attack.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that's the Bastion events. Let's get to that. You read ahead, so.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we were just getting to Bastion events, and you're reading ahead. So at the end of any Bastion turn in which a character issues the maintain order to their Bastion, the DM rolls on the events table. So if you don't want an event to happen, you never issue a maintain order.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're gone, a maintain order has to be issued while you're gone. That's why we're not going to let you communicate with them all the time. I see. It's kind of a way to make it so that while you're gone, problems happen, and then you get back and everything is ruined. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that a great feeling? I'm totally going to interact with the system, knowing that every time I leave, something bad happens.
My Bastion is a caravan full of whimsy that follows me wherever I go.
Yeah, and if you're using Acquisitions Incorporated and having that, and you're high enough level where you can have the traveling cart or one of the traveling kind of headquarters franchises, and then you're combining that with the Bastion system, this would make sense. But yeah, so let's see.
The real issue with that is that in order to get a traveling location, you got to get high enough in the franchise to make it travel.
I mean, because what you get in the beginning is like a really crappy wagon or like a really crappy boat, and that's not going to work. But I feel like once you get like a big enough boat, or you have like a fleet of boats, like let's say you're running a One Piece campaign, and you have a bunch of boats, you can have the restaurant boat, and you can have the smithy boat, and I can understand that. But you would have a bunch of fucking boats, right? You wouldn't just have the one boat that would be traveling. And now as a DM, I'd be going, well, sure, you know what though? every once in a while you're gonna have to at least run maintain, or else what? Because that becomes a question. Why would you ever run a maintenance? And I'm gonna see if they answer that at some point. But let's move on with what
Okay.
happens, which is if the event occurs, the DM reads from the event aloud to the player whose character controls the Bastion. The event is resolved immediately, with the player and DM working together to expand the story details as needed. So, Bastion events occur only when the Bastion is operating under the maintain order, which often means the Bastion's owner is not present in the Bastion at the time. That means these events can be opportunities for the player to take on the role of the Bastion's hireling and roleplay their reactions to these events. The DM can even decide to turn a Bastion event into a sort of cutscene where each player takes on the role of one of the Bastion hirelings under the guidance of the player whose character owns the Bastion. So, this is a story attempt event. So 1 through 9, nothing happens on a d20. At 10, you get attacked. 11 through 12, you lost hirelings. The attack might mean that the attack doesn't specifically say you lost hirelings, but 11 to 12, you're guaranteed to lose hirelings. 13 through 14, you get refugees to show up. Then it's friendly visitors, request for aid, honored guest, extraordinary opportunity, criminal hireling, and magical discovery. So we have one of those kind of things where I was like, hey, here's that sneaky thing. So let's look at what these do. Hostile force attacks the Bastion, but is defeated. Right there and there, and it's like you were attacked, but you've succeeded. Even though you rolled a 10, you won. You roll 66, and this is where if they're armored, you roll d8s. And for each die that rolls on a 1, one Bastion defender dies. So rolling a d8 just lowers the chance of you rolling a 1. So in addition, one of the Bastion's special facilities is damaged and forced to shut down. All right, so yeah, so you get attacked, you're going to succeed. You're going to lose Bastion people if you roll a 1. If you have the armory, then the number of defenders you lose, you roll a d8 instead of a d6. So you roll 66. So if you only have 1, you have a 6. You have a chance out of 6 to roll the 1. If you have
you recruit about 4 at a time, so you have to lose all 4
to have this next step happen. Second special facility is also shut down. So if you have no defenders, you lose both facilities, or at least 2 facilities. Special facility that's shut down can't be used on your next Bastion turn, after which it is repaired and made operational again at no cost to you. A special facility that is shut down generates no Bastion points when you issue the maintain order.
for the maintain order. Sorry, did I throw a wrench in your works there?
No, so, okay, so you maintain. When you maintain, you roll. It resolves immediately. You were attacked. This week is out. It's shut down for this week. So instead of you getting the Bastion points this week, it's shut down. All right. Then we have Lost Hirelings. Let's skip down to Lost Hirelings. One of your Bastion special facilities loses its hireling. The cause of their departure is up to you. It can't be used on your next turn, but the hireling is replaced at no cost to you at that point. Do you at least have gotten the build points? Do you get the thing and then the event happens and then you can't do another order? This needs to be clarified. I need more of a flowchart on this. 2d4 refugees fleeing from a monster, natural disaster, or some other calamity. If you lack a basic facility that's large enough to house them, they camp outside. They offer you 1d6 times 100 gold pieces as payment for your hospitality and protection. They stay until you find them a new home or a hostile force attacks your Bastion, which is the attack. Well, they're gonna stay until they get attacked. I feel like this is a story hook though, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely a story hook.
Um,
It's a real quick side quest.
Then friendly visitors. Here we go. Friendly visitors come to it. They seek one of your special facilities. They offer 1d6 times 100 gold pieces for a brief use of the facility. Caravan might want to use your workshop to repair its wagons, and traveling gear. Pilgrims might want to rest in your sanctuary. A knight might want. So you pick one of the things. Pick somebody who would want to use one of the things that you have, and this happens.
Yeah.
And it doesn't interrupt any orders you issue.
It's like the refugees thing, but with less of a plot hook.
Yeah, I mean, it can still be a plot hook, but not it. It doesn't force you to do anything. Actually, the refugees doesn't
Yeah.
force you to do anything. They stay there. Request for aid. So this is a literal plot hook. They call the Bastion is called on to help a local leader. Perhaps there's a search for a missing person, brigands plaguing the area. If you choose to help, you must dispatch one or more Bastion defenders. Ooh, roll a d6 for each Bastion defender you send. If these die rolls total 10 or higher, the problem is solved. Okay, so oh, and you roll a d8 instead of a d6 if they're armored, if they're kitted out. So you need to send at least two. So you need to have hired at least two Bastion defenders, and then you get a reward of 1d6 times 100. If the die rolls total less than 10, the problem is still solved, but the reward is halved, and one of your Bastion defenders is killed. Remove them from the roster. Okay.
So you can just send one if you don't mind taking the loss of profits and lives.
Well, he's gonna die. If you only send one,
Yeah.
he's gonna die. So you have to at least send two if you want a chance. But you can also just send 10.
Or as many as you have.
Honored guest is different from a friendly visitor. So they come to stay. They work with you work with your dungeon master to determine their identity. You roll on the honored guest table or choose one of the options from the table. So honored guest table has 4 choices. This is very limited. This is like barely a thought of idea if it only has 4 honored guests. They are grateful to stay. They give you a letter of recommendation that you can use to sway an important person to perform a service for you at no cost. So this is another kind of like, hey, an honor guest stopped by. He's going to leave a thing that lets you get in that meeting with the nobles that were refusing to talk to you because you may own property, but that don't mean you're the same station as me. Cool. Number 2, guests request sanctuary while avoiding persecution for their beliefs or crimes. They leave before the next Bastion turn, but they gift you 1d6 100. It's a lot of 1d6 times 100 gold pieces on this.
It's a flat number, easy to remember.
Yeah. Guests are a group of friendly mercenaries, giving you 4 additional Bastion defenders. They don't require a facility to house them, and they stay until you send them away or they're killed. Oh, so this is just like a bonus 4 that you get for Bastion defenders. This is a way to give Bastion defenders if you don't have the barracks. Interesting. The guest is a dragon or some other flying monster that perches on top until the next turn. Unless it is killed or driven off, it is indifferent towards the others, but it turns hostile if it's threatened or attacked. You might be able to bribe the creature not to leave on your next Bastion turn. Work with the DM to determine what it considers a worthy bribe. All right, extraordinary opportunity. This is let's see. You gain an extra 2d4 Bastion points if you spend 500 gold pieces to host a festival, fund a research for a powerful spellcaster, appease a domineering noble. It triggers a okay. Do you have 500 gold pieces? You can get an extra 2d4 Bastion points. This is where the fact that you don't get that many Bastion points comes in and sort of like 500. I'll spend 500, right?
Couldn't it just be 1d6 times 100 gold?
I mean it. So these kinds of like the fact that you can get so much random gold is one of the reasons to do a maintain order. This is why we're like, why would you ever do a maintain order? Because it's like you could trigger getting a lot of money. One of your Bastion's hirelings has a criminal past. Somebody shows up for something to arrest. You can retain them by bribing for 1d6 times 100 gold pieces. Otherwise, they are arrested and taken away. If this loss leaves one of your facilities without a hireling, the facility can't be used on your next Bastion turn. The hireling is then replaced at no cost to you. This is a 50-50. Like if you don't mind losing a turn of not being able to get D4 Bastion points, this can be kind of like, you can be like, well, they were a criminal. Oops. But if you've been developing storylines with them, then you might go, no, not Fred.
It could also be an interesting way of exploring the nuances of a paladin's oath. Like an Oath of Redemption Paladin is absolutely going to pay that bribe if it's at all possible.
Very much true. Very much true. Or they could be like, go ahead and gain your repentance. I'll hire you back once you're free. Could also be a thing. So,
True.
magical discovery. You want to read that one? My voice is getting tired.
Yeah, fair. Your hirelings accidentally discover or create an uncommon magic item of your choice. This can't be a suit of armor, a shield, or a weapon, and its magic is temporary. Its properties start to function when you claim the item and last until the start of your next Bastion turn, after which the magic item turns to dust.
Okay.
So this would be a useful way to get like a really powerful potion
It's
or something.
yeah, a potion or a scroll. It's uncommon, so this is not.
This isn't a lot of juice.
No, it's not. It really isn't.
It does feel like everything else either does something or hits you for something, and this is just kind of nothing.
The fact that it only lasts a week as well. This is where the fact that it's a 7-day churn and things like that kind of bother me as well. I definitely would want that. I would want some of this stuff juiced, and I would want like a different reason to maintain than just the fact that an event happens. I don't like that 50% of the time an event, well, practically 50% of the time an event doesn't happen at all. I don't necessarily like the churnouts and like some of the limitations. This is very much a bare bones though, and it definitely needs more work because, again, I would never ever want an event to happen for the most part. Like it's less likely for it to be an issue, but the fact that it can cost so much money, if I'm unprepared for that expenditure, I would do everything in my power. So that means that I'm not leaving here until I have 100 build points, have generated at least 5,000 gold that I can leave, and like you have to take so many steps. The fact that it takes so long, that if you take too long, everything in there can disappear, means that you don't want to leave anything there. You don't want to set up a trophy room. You don't want to. That's my major issue.
1 to 9, 18, and 20 are all nothing. So that's 11 spots on this table. Criminal hireling, lost hirelings, and attack are all exclusively negative, which is 4 spots. So that's 15 spots on a D20 that are reserved for essentially justifying the other 5 slots being a worthwhile gamble. And it doesn't end up working out like that. Well, that is a 25% chance of getting something good.
A 25% chance of getting something good. And that something good is about 1 to 600 gold pieces. Because even like even the request for aid can lose you Bastion defenders. And if you don't have Bastion defenders, you're not getting anything out of that one either. So
okay, so now we're down to 20.
Honored Guest has a chance of giving you 1 to 600 gold, a chance for something positive. Like you could get Bastion defenders just because of that. So that one is that one is almost entirely positive, right? Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Friendly visitors gives you positive. So friendly visitors, an honored guest, everything else is either nothing burgers or not really that special. And so, yeah, it doesn't have, I feel like you just want to avoid, unless it's completely unavoidable. And the fact that you could be gone for like 3 months and go like, well, what happened to your Bastion? As you come back to your Bastion, resolve 6 Bastion events and have it just be like, you come back and it's fucking devastated and you're like, what the hell? Yeah, so that's definitely one of the biggest issues with it, is that while I appreciate creating opportunities for side quests and little little one-shotty quests kind of thing, the fact that this is all rolling across every single player that is gone.
Yeah, honestly, I would absolutely run with maintain as just being for each facility you have, roll a d4. That's it.
First of all, you're getting punished because you're not getting the thing out of the Bastion system, which again, it's a
Yeah.
completely optional on top of everything else that you're doing in the game kind of system.
Hmm.
So I can understand where like you don't necessarily want this breaking the game or being a super amazingly awesome or feel like it's a requirement. It's not even a 50% chance if when you're gone you lose everything anyways.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you feel safe leaving your things there. Nothing like you don't have anything that triggers like being stolen against, but like suddenly like it's sort of like there's so much that requires you to have built at least a barracks. And so you essentially you get one when you first get it at fifth level, you get a barracks, and then you get one other thing that kind of like benefits you. And you better hope that what you get is gonna be, and like you want a barracks, an armory, and a smithy if you're really going down that route, which means that once you hit level, what is it, 9, you get two more. Well, that's going to be a smithy, and then I get one other thing.
Hmm.
And now finally at level 9, I have enough stuff, and it just doesn't feel that much. So,
The storage room, I think. You want the
still,
storage room for the fourth one so you can
yeah,
afford to do the armory.
yeah. So there you go. So it's like, so if you have that, then great. This is gonna this you're gonna have enough power and money and stuff for this. So that's where I'm like, eh. So let's see what happens. What happens with the growth? Let's see what happens with the growth at level 9. So
Starting with the gaming hall, it's
yeah.
already vast. It's got 4 hirelings and it's worth a d6.
Okay, so this is another one where again we're moving away from ever wanting to maintain. It has crane. You can issue a trade order for the next 7 days. It becomes a gambling den. That's quite a bit of money. At worst,
Hmm.
you get 3d6 gold pieces. As a absolutely free thing, this replaces the storehouse
Yep.
for making money, right? Does it?
I think it caps out at 600 a week if you get max dice rolls,
Hmm.
and the average comes out to 350.
Okay.
Storehouse at this level, you're getting 400 gold every 2 weeks
Okay. So
from the storehouse.
this doesn't even beat the storehouse.
It, well, I mean, kind of. It's 350 per week if you consistently get that 96 to 100 and then roll average.
Right.
But
Yeah, no, this
yeah,
doesn't even
that's
come
some
close.
long
Yeah.
odds. It
Yeah.
doesn't come close.
The only reason to take this is for the additional build points. Let's see what else we can get for additional build points. A greenhouse is a spacious enclosure where rare plants and fungi are nurtured. One plant in your greenhouse has 3 magical fruits growing on it. Any creature that eats one of those fruits gains the benefit of a lesser restoration spell. Fruits that aren't eaten within 24 hours of being picked lose their magic. The plant replaces all picked fruits daily at dawn, and it can't be transplanted without killing it. This is the kind of thinking that you have to go through with the fucking
Mm-hmm,
D&D players.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
No,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
no.
You get 3 uses of lesser restoration per day.
Here.
This is what it looks like. You don't get more. Stop trying things.
When you issue the harvest order, you choose one of the following: healing herbs, which lets you make a potion of healing, a greater healing potion, or you do the work yourself. The work takes 7 days and costs nothing, or a poison. So this is very much because this takes the garden and gets you, it gets you the herb and the poison garden in one go. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
and it also gives you lots of restoration. So you can replace one of your gardens, especially if it's an herb poison garden, with this, and the types of poisons you get is bigger. You get a better healing potion. So overall, a greenhouse is like an improved garden. It does get you the money, like with the like a food garden gives
Yeah.
you 50 gold pieces a week. It doesn't kind of get you that money. So,
Yeah.
or the
So
perfumes.
yeah. So hopefully you're doing well for cash by this point.
Yeah. Let's see. You can get a midnight tears, a pale tincture, a torpor, or a truth serum poison. Out of this one. So this is the
Mm-hmm.
direct upgrade to garden. If you have garden, you move on to this. Makes sense. Laboratory. Again, it's a D6. Contains storage space for alchemical supplies. Issue a craft order. Liquid concoction. Makes a vial of acid, alchemist fire, or a bottle of ink. Okay, not bad. You can craft a poison from it. It's a basic vial or a vial containing an application of a rare poison. It has to be either burnt, other fumes, carrion crawler mucus, essence of ether, or malice. Takes 7 days, and you have to pay the poison's cost. Or you can craft a potion. You have to have the ability to use a spellcasting focus. Takes 7 days, minimum 1 level, and then the cost of the potion. This is definitely one where we would replace it with my potion system 100%.
Oh yeah.
Like, I wouldn't use this at all. This is ridiculous.
Laboratory? Shunk.
I mean, you would use the laboratory for the potion making, but it's definitely it's kind of also interesting that it takes until level 9 to get access to the laboratory for an alchemist, so that you can make some potions. You know that you definitely want the acid alchemist fires earlier, and it's half the normal cost. Like, I don't know.
This one needs to be tweaked up a bit before it publishes.
Yeah, the poison access is nice, but some of these poisons are really, really, really strong.
And that, which is probably why you have to pay the cost to get it,
right,
as compared to the greenhouse poisons, which are free.
Yeah, so that there's definitely some. I can see why, like, these are free, these are this. I definitely though would be like using a different crafting system for this, and just have it gain access and kind of like do, like, the hirelings here would be able to perform the crafting system roles for you. Sacristy, level 9 Bastion facility. Need to use a Holy Symbol Druidic again, and hirelings 1. Roomy space, crafting, D6 build point. So level 9 goes to D6, so that's good. So it already becomes a thing where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to leave this Bastion. I want to always issue an order. So it's a serves as preparation storage room for sacred items, investments of your religion, and allows you to regain 1 expended spell slot of level 5 or lower after spending a short rest in your bastion. This is I'm going to go home, spend an hour, take a short rest, get back a 5th level spell slot, and then leave again. And you get that once per long rest. So this is another, like, kind of like feature that is sort of like, if your bastion is in the area that you're at and it makes sense for you to go home for an hour, this is where this comes in. They can craft holy water for you at no cost. That's a 25 gold savings.
Yep, we take the savings.
You can increase the potency of the holy water by spending gold pieces. For every 100 gold you spend, up to a maximum of 500, the damage dealt by the holy water increases by 1d6. Sacred item. You can commission them to craft a temporary magic item that lasts for 7 days. Choose the item from the following list. So you can get a Pearl of Power, a Periapt of Wound Closure, Ring of Water Walking, a pair of Sending Stones, a Staff of the Adder, a Staff of the Python, or a Wand of Magic Detection that works for 7 days and costs you 200 gold pieces.
200 gold to essentially rent a Periapt of Wound Closure is kind of... I mean, can't you just get one more efficiently?
Periapt is what, rare?
I think.
So
I'll double check.
Yeah, so
Uncommon.
Uncommon. Okay.
According to Roll20.
So you can spend 70 build points for it. And by this time you could have gotten you could already have like that. I don't.
Yeah, you could already have like 3 of them.
Yeah. I don't like that. I don't. Some of the other items I kind of get, but it's definitely not where I feel this should be. There's something missing here, and I don't necessarily. Not all of these things are the same.
Yeah.
So
Pearl of Power is a free 3rd level spell slot once a day.
Yeah. And for, a 1-week adventure, and again, this is the kind of place where you're kind of like getting back here within a day or within the same day and then leaving again. Like, this is definitely has its kind of like things with it.
Yeah, the more I read about the level 9 features, the more I'm like, let me just stick with the level 5 stuff.
Yeah, I mean, with few exceptions, the level you might as well just stick with a level 5 thing, or only upgrade one thing to a level 9. Like it's not.
Yeah, maybe if you have 2 gardens, you upgrade one of them to a greenhouse
Well,
to
specifically
get
the
access to the bigger stuff.
specifically the one that gives you the healing potion and the poisons. You move that up to
Yeah,
the greenhouse. Okay.
yeah.
Let's look at the scriptorium. Let's see. Has writing desks. This is probably replacing the library, unless it doesn't give you. Well, it doesn't give you the research. So the library still has a use, even with this. Let's see.
Yeah.
Book replica. Commission them to make a copy of a book, non-magic book. So this is great. Like if you steal a book, make a copy, return the book. Paperwork. 50 copies of a broadsheet, a pamphlet, or a loose leaf. So you can release. The work takes 7 days and costs you 1 gold piece per copy. So it costs you like 50 gold pieces. At no additional cost of time or money. The hireling can distribute the paperwork to one or more locations within 10 miles. So this is like newspaper announcements kind of stuff.
Wanted posters.
Yeah, sure.
Have you seen this cat?
Yeah, a lot of things like that. Or you can craft a scroll. The spell on the scroll must be one that you can prepare. 7 days. Minimum level 1 must be able to craft a scroll particularly ready to cost. So this is just another way to make scrolls. The hireling can make a scroll, but the scroll has to be of a spell that you can prepare. And then there's the cost associated with that. Again, this is another thing where I don't necessarily like it. It really is another money sink, but this money sink is a money sink that already exists in the game, and
Yeah.
and so I don't. It makes it be like a logical way for you to do it, and for you to assign somebody else to do the crafting for you while you're gone. Sure, I get that. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with this being like a bean for that, but I don't necessarily. It's still limited too much by how scrolls work. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like the scroll crafting in D&D as is, and quite honestly, I don't feel like I solved it with my crafting system for scrolls. The cost, though, I'm not 100% on, and I don't fully back because it's like, and having access to any kind of spell, I also don't necessarily like. I don't necessarily like the existence of a wish scroll, for example, but I don't really like the wish spell. I know players love the wish spell. People love the wish spell, man. Oh my gosh, yeah, but I'm like, I don't like the idea that like, okay, well, this is just gonna be a level 8 or lower spell. Then why didn't you just make a level 8 or lower spell?
Because I didn't know what level 8 or lower spell I needed.
Yeah, so it just becomes a cast anything, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, and that's where I'm at with it, and that's kind of like my only issue with it. Other than that, I'm like, whatever. I don't. It's kind of like in a weird spot because it's either too powerful or just extra spell slots. Yeah, great. You have 50 extra spell slots. What's the challenge? How am I challenging you?
Yeah, because I, in particular, keep my scroll case right next to my component pouch. I reach into the scroll case, I pull out Steel Wind Strike, I Steel Wind Strike.
Sure, why not?
I
Uh,
spam it until everything is dead.
of course. Why else would you do anything else? And
Yeah,
that's
like.
and that's only 2,000 gold pieces each. There you go. It is an action to take the thing out of the thing. So it's like every other turn you get to do it, sure, but it's
Yeah.
so yeah, it's that's the thing, right? Let's see, Bastion. So next step, stable.
Stable.
Yeah, go ahead and read this one.
A bastion can have more than one stable. Each stable comes with one riding horse, or camel, and 2 ponies, or mules. The facility is big enough to house 3 large animals. 2 medium creatures occupy the same amount of space as 1 large creature. The facility's hireling looks after these creatures. So, accounting for all of this, there's 1 empty stall. After a beast that can serve as a mount spends at least 14 days in this facility, all wisdom animal handling checks made with respect to it have advantage as the animal becomes easier to handle. When you issue the trade order to this facility, you commission the facility's hireling to buy or sell 1 or more mounts at normal cost. keeping the ones you buy in your stable. The work takes 7 days. The DM decides what types of animals are available for purchase. Horses, ponies, and mules being the most common. The mounts and other animals table in the player's handbook gives standard prices for various mounts, including camels, horses, ponies, and mules. When you sell a mount from your stable, the buyer pays you 20% more than the standard price. This profit increases to 50% when you reach 13th and 100% when you reach 17th. So this is a quote-unquote better storage that focuses on mounts instead of trade goods.
Okay, and then you can make it bigger and house up to 6 large animals.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Honestly, I still like the storehouse better, and that's not even necessarily because it gives me all the figures right here where I can see them all.
yeah, because you have
It's
to look
just-
up how much the horses are or whatever animal you're getting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get a riding elephant. That's okay.
I'm just gonna get the most expensive large animal I can, fill all 3 stalls. Is it more efficient for me to get ponies? Okay, I will rotate 6 ponies for profit. Yeah, no, storehouse is just cleaner.
It is.
So many reasons to do the storehouse instead.
Yeah, it does make sense if you are going to have more of a riding thing. You can be the guy in the group that handles the stable and just upgrade it to a large stable and have all of everybody's riding horses, especially if you're combining bastions. Next up is teleportation circle, which has 0 hirelings for, and the only order you can give it is recruit. It's a room that has a teleportation circle. Each time you issue the recruit order, you invite a mage or archmage if you're level 17 or higher. So it's a mage until you get to archmage. You roll any die. If the number is odd, they decline, and you get nothing for having issued the order. You get nothing for issuing the order. That you don't get the bastion points. If you rolled even, they say yay, and they arrive through the teleportation circle. They stay for 7 days.
Stays.
Do you want to read it? Go ahead.
The guest won't help defend your bastion and departs immediately if the bastion is attacked.
So they stay for 7 days, which you did not repeat, and then because it was never actually finished. And they won't help defend, and if it's attacked, they leave. Okay, cool. That's another reason to maintain. But so they stay for 7 days. What happens after the 7 days? Let's see. While you're in the bastion, because if you get attacked at the end, so no matter what, they leave. It doesn't make sense.
Right?
I just that's the part I'm like this is redundant. It's weirdly worded. Whatever. You can ask the visiting mage or archmage to cast 1 spell while you're in the bastion. In case of a mage, you choose a wizard spell of level 4 or lower. In the case of the archmage, you choose a spell 8 or lower. The spell might be one the visitor has prepared, or it might be written in a spell book. If the spell has 1 or more material components that cost money, you must pay for them before the spell can be cast. So this is an interesting way to get a wizard to show up. You can have a spell that we have a spell in this book and we need to cast this spell. Invite over the archmage. The spell's level 8. The archmage will cast it. We pay the cost, and we have somebody who casts the spell for us.
Oh, great. It's a 50-50 chance of getting basically a wish, only with more effort.
Yeah, and you don't get anything, but you do get a teleportation circle in your basket.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the big benefit of, like, I would still take this, partially because I'm the guy who has the spell.
Because otherwise you have to spend, 100 days or whatever casting teleportation circle in the same spot?
Making your own, yeah. And it's really expensive, so better to just shorthand it.
Yeah, so it's definitely but you can definitely later on just make it yourself and get rid of this and replace it with a different room.
Yeah.
Especially if you're already a caster, so...
Yeah. Okay, my basic facilities, one of them has a teleportation circle now, so this is now a storage room!
Let's see, theater, level 9, 4 hirelings, and this lets you empower. So let's see. Contains a stage, a backstage area, seating for a small audience. You can issue empower. Its hirelings begin work on a theatrical production or concert. Rehearsals and other preparations take 14 days, followed by at least 7 days of performances. The performances can continue indefinitely until new production gets underway. It takes two actions. In other words, it
2 actions to get the ball rolling,
and then after
during which you're just accruing build points.
yeah. So let's see. Yeah, no, and then you get 7. Are you accruing build points? Hold on, we have not gotten there yet, because the order to get build points is in power. This might all be maintained. Okay. A player character can contribute to a production in the following ways. You can be the composer writer, but it takes 14 days to do it. You can be the conductor director, as long as you're there serving as that, or you can be a performer. This is just role play stuff. I don't see.
At the end of a rehearsal period, each character who contributed to the concert or production can make a DC 15 charisma performance check. If more of these checks succeed than fail, you and any other character who contributed to the concert or production each gain a theater die, a D6. Increases to a D8 at level 13 and a D10 at level 17.
Okay.
At any point after the rehearsal's end, a character can expend their theater die to roll it and add the number rolled to one ability check, attack roll, or saving throw they make. If they haven't expended their theater die before gaining another, the first die is lost. So it's a single-use bardic inspiration.
So you have to either spend 14 days being a composer writer, or a character who remains in the Bastion for the entirety of the production can serve as the concert's conductor or the production's director, or a performer who remains in the Bastion for the entirety for the rehearsal period. Be a sort performer in one or more performances. One theater's hirelings can serve as an understudy for the additional performance. When you issue the Empower order, they begin production. This is very unclear. This needs more information. This is not fully explained. At the end of each of a rehearsal period, so at the end of
period is the 14
days, yeah. The end of the 14 days, you make the charisma check, and then after that, if everybody involved beats the charisma check, you can be part of the 1 week. But it doesn't say that when you go back that you get another impact. It doesn't.
Yeah, no, if you finish the rehearsal period and more than half the people who contributed pass that check, everyone involved gets 1 die. And then if you want to get the dice back, you got to make another.
You got to do another. You got to do another play. Once you empower, it takes 21 days, and if you're not there doing something, you don't get anything. Wow, this is.
Yeah, no, it's. I don't engage with it.
Yeah, this I don't like this at all. That's awkward. Okay, training area. The training area requires expertise in the skill, the fighting style feature, and the unarmored defense feature. So this goes to a lot of people, actually. This covers a lot of ground because of the expertise in the skill. Very few people won't have expertise, the way things are going for 5.24. So, and this also doesn't empower. So let's see how this empower works. You can have more than one training areas, and it covers quite a few different things: dance halls, music, gymnasium, courtyard, cleverly built gauntlet of traps and hazards. It might contain inanimate targets, padded mats, other equipment, and one of the facility's hirelings is an expert trainer, and the other served as training partners. Okay, so that's out of the 4. When a training area becomes part of your Bastion, choose one trainer from the expert trainers table, which is below. One on each Bastion churn, you can replace the trainer with another one. Battle expert. Once per turn, when you take damage from an attack made with an unarmed strike or weapon, you can reduce the damage by 1d4, provided you don't have the incapacitated condition. Okay, hold on. You issue the Empower order. The hirelings conduct training exercises for the next 7 days. Any character who trains here for at least 8 hours on each of those days gains a benefit at the end of the training period. The benefit depends on which trainer is present, and the benefit lasts 7 days. Okay, so you issue the order. You train there for a week. You have to be there for a week, but after that week, for the next week, you can get 1d4 reduction anytime, or once per turn when you take damage from attack made with an unarmed strike or weapon. So a physical attack.
Physical melee attack, yeah.
Actually, does not say melee.
Oh, wow, you're right. It also applies to bows.
Yeah. So as long as it's not a spell attack, you should be able to reduce it by 1d4. As it doesn't even say reaction, so the once per turn, minus 1d4.
Yep.
That's solid for a week. I the thing I don't like is that the benefits are only for a week. I kind of want some of these benefits to just be until I get back. It really this again is like really like you are right next door. Skill expert, you gain proficiency in one of the following skills: acrobatics, athletics, performance, sleight of hand, or stealth. If you don't have one of those skills, you can get that skill. Sure. Tools expert, you gain proficiency in a musical instrument or tool of your choice. Unarmed combat expert, when you use an unarmed strike to damage a target, the attack deals an extra 1d4 bludgeoning on hit. Okay, so that's like for monks and some of the brawler fighter subclasses that are taken out here. So, and then weapon expert, you choose a type of simple or martial weapon, such as a spear or a longbow. If you aren't proficient with the weapon, you gain proficiency. If you already have proficiency, you can use the mastery property for the next 7 days. And this is essentially for the non-fighters to be able to
Get a mastery, yeah.
but it's like for 1 week only. It's again me going like I don't feel great about the limitation. I understand that the limitation is there because they're very afraid to be like, okay, well, I'm never gonna retrain and then I'm gonna get rid of it. And it's like, well, as long as this is here, let's say you have to go back and maintain it. Um, but this is definitely an order that you have to be there for you to gain that empowerment, and then it only lasts 1 week. You would not be able to issue the empower order if you're not there, and so otherwise it's maintained. And so so the empower ones are very much ones where you cannot keep issuing the order. It has to maintain, which means it has to trigger. And I understand that as a designer, I understand them forcing the maintain to happen. And then trophy room houses a collection of mementos. You can issue research, and that gives you. So this replaces the library, right? This is because of the research, famous per object. Yeah, the topic can be a legend. So yeah, this replaces the library as a way to get research. Takes 7 days. 3 accurate pieces of information on the topic that were unknown to you. And then trinket trophy. You can also commission the hireling to search for a trinket that might be of use to you. Takes 7 days. You roll a die. If the number rolled is odd, they find nothing useful. If it's even, they find a trinket with a previously unknown magical property. You can decide what the trinket looks like or roll on the trinkets table to determine. As a magic action, a creature can use the trinket to cast a particular spell requiring the components. Choose the spell from the following: clairvoyance, death ward, find traps, locate creature, magic weapon. Oh, so you can use this to make your weapons +1 from the smithy.
Yep.
Remove curse or speak with the dead. Once used this way, the trinket loses its magic. This looks like the room that like Grant would have.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, with all the trinkets. So, yeah. So those are all the level 9. So when you expand, you get 2 level 9s, and you can replace like one of yours. So if you have the garden, you replace it with the greenhouse. You replace the library with the
Trophy room.
trophy room. So the arcane study you replace with the scriptorium, I guess. Like the sanctuary, maybe you replace with the would you replace the
Sacristy.
sanctuary? Yeah, because you get the holy water with the sacristy. So yeah.
Yeah, you get the holy water and you get a spell slot instead of the healing word, which you may find that more useful.
Yeah, I mean the healing word does scale up until 9th level. So
yeah, and even at the level you would get the sacristy, it's a 4d4 healing word. Like it's a 4th level spell right there. You're already almost breaking even.
I feel like level 9 forces. Yeah, the level 9 stuff definitely has a lot more maintained. So let's take a look at the level 13 stuff. Archive. Do you want to read Archive?
Sure. It's a bunch of books, scrolls, and maps, usually attached to a library. Behind a locked or secret door. The archive contains one copy of a rare and valuable reference book. While you and this book are in your bastion, you gain the book's benefits as noted in the table. Your DM might make other reference books available. When you issue the research order to this facility, you commission the facility's hireling to search the archive for helpful lore. 7 days. Whoever does the work gains knowledge as if they'd cast the legend lore spell. A hireling who gains the knowledge shares it with you the next time you speak with them.
Okay. It has the one hireling, so that's the one. And it very much feels like a direct kind of like it's another one that's a direct upgrade, right? For like library,
Yeah.
uh,
Library into scriptorum into
library trophy room,
archive.
library trophy
Right,
room.
library into trophy room into archive.
Yeah.
Which means that by the time you get the archive, the library it's supposed to be attached to is like, where did he go?
All right. So here's the books. We have a chart of the books, and you can make the archive bigger. So Bigby's Handy Arcana Codex, advantage on Arcana checks when you take the study action to recall lore about spells, magic items, eldritch symbols, magic traditions, and planes of existence. Chronepsis Chronicles, advantage on history checks when you take the study action. Okay. Investigations of the Inquisitive, advantage on any investigation check. Take the study action to make deductions based on clues or evidence. Okay. Material musings on the nature of worldly things, advantage on nature checks when you take a study action, and advantage on religion checks when you take. So this is all about taking a study action. You can make it bigger. If you do so, you get 2 additional reference books from the table.
Which its usefulness is literally as long as you're
So you have to be
while
there.
you and this book are in your bastion. You have to be in the bastion to get the benefits.
So
So you can't be like, I have advantage on investigation. Well, yeah, in your bastion.
yeah, so and it very much becomes a you do need to have a different you end up need you empower yourself and then you go to the library or you go to your thing and you get like advantage on that kind of check as part of a different study thing. You really only get this and again it's another one that you spend the entire time doing the thing. Or oh no, they do it? Hireling search for the archive for helpful lore. Oh, you can issue research to get the legend lore spell cast on something.
Or you're getting nothing.
So it gets to this thing where it's sort of like, okay, well, I didn't get to order for you to do legend lore, and I didn't, and so I'm not going to legend lore. I don't have nothing for you to legend lore. I don't have. Well, I like you want to get so for the theater and a lot of these other ones, you want to get a bunch that at least the ones that you can at least always issue an order and get something out of it consistently are also the ones that only give you d4s anyways, and you don't get to roll these bigger numbers at all unless you're doing the thing. So let's look at Menagerie. Menagerie is vast space, 2 hirelings. It's a recruit action, so it costs you money. It keeps various creatures in enclosures. Multiple creatures can be contained in the same enclosure if those creatures would get along normally. When you issue the recruit order, you commission them to add a creature from the Menagerie creatures table, and it takes 7 days and costs the amount listed, and you now have that creature. It's big enough to contain 4 large creatures, 4 small or medium creatures. 4 small or medium creatures take up the same amount of space as 1 large creature. You keep track of the creatures housed, and they count as Bastion defenders. So this is a way to get Bastion defenders aside from barracks, and it can get you animals. So, and that this gets you apes, black bears, brown bears, constrictor snakes, crocodiles, dire wolves, giant scorpions, giant vulture, hyena, jackal, lion, owlbear, panther, or tiger at different costs. So they cannot be kitted out by the armory, so they're D6 rollers anyways. And apparently you can send an ape and an owlbear to take care of an event. So this is going to be interesting. You can choose to not count them as a Bastion defender, so that way they can't be lost. You can add different creatures than those shown. The cost of the creatures depends on their challenge rating, and it has a list of like the challenge rating costs all the way up to challenge rating 3 at 3,500 gold pieces. You can so and it should only be beasts and monstrosities with the DM's approval.
That
Oh,
makes sense.
yeah. I mean, this is kind of this is nice. It's kind of an upgrade to one of them. Again, you don't get the D8 at all unless you're recruiting. And so once you're done recruiting and using up all the money, this doesn't provide anything
Hmm.
until you maintain. So this is not a way to build points. So getting build points is a pain.
Yeah.
Like there has been.
But remember, the design says that this should feel like a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, this is like it takes forever to get build points. Like at 13th you have 5 of these rooms. You end up you have to sit there and let the maintain happen to generate enough average points. You're gonna have to sit there like 5 times 2 is 10. You're gonna spend like 5 weeks maintaining to kind of get yourself almost guaranteed to that 100 Bastion points so that you can at least come back alive. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, you could definitely build up faster while you're doing it, but like getting the magic items, getting some of the stuff with the build point cost, no, not 5 weeks, 10 weeks. So you're looking at almost like 3 months of downtime just before you go and like try and level up again, which is
Yep.
more than the 6 to 8 that they want you to do. So they're very much fighting themselves with their numbers.
Hmm.
All right.
On
So,
the other hand, you might come back alive, and then that gives you a bit of a discount on the next time you save up. But then you still kind of want to get that development so that you have
yeah.
either points to spend on other things, or
Or
because
to
like the more you don't die, the more powerful a thing you can get when you finally hit a point where you're
like
not
seven
able to
seven
not
hundred
die anymore.
700 points for that legendary kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
and definitely
Well, 800 because you want
yeah.
100 to not die with.
Meditation chamber. I skipped it by accident. So this one empowers.
Oops.
It's cramped. There's no hirelings. It's just a small space for you to meditate. You can issue empower to it, and it enables all of the hirelings to use the chamber to gain a measure of inner peace. And you can immediately issue a bastion order to one of your bastion's other special facilities, even if that facility already has been issued an order on the Bastion turn. Okay, let's do double order. That's cool. You can meditate in this facility over 7 days to fortify your mind, body, and spirit. And if you leave the Bastion during this time, you gain no benefit. Otherwise, you on the end of the 7th day, you gain advantage on 2 kinds of saving throws for the next 7 days, chosen randomly. Roll 2d6, you get advantage on 2 of those. Reroll if it's the duplicate result. I like the advantage. That's definitely it. This is definitely something where you would want it to be limited in the amount of time
Mm-hmm.
that you have that benefit. I still feel like 1 week is not enough time. But I feel like
I hear that, but at the same time, like I feel like the real draw of the meditation chamber is overclocking one of your rooms.
I get that. I'm just saying that
Like,
the like you spend the entire week doing this, and if you leave your bath, so that means you're stuck at home. You're homebound while you're doing this. So that means you're not even leaving to go to like the store, or to go into the city with your friends. Like you are here, and this is the thing you're doing for the week to get this benefit, which means
mm-hmm.
you can't even get this benefit. You have to pick one benefit from the Bastion to leave with. I'm kind of fine with that. You have to be there for that whole week to get that benefit to activate. It'll just be whatever the last thing you do is going to be the before you leave to go on the adventure. So that way you have the benefit you want. I'm fine with that as far as the empower goes. I feel like because of that, you don't necessarily have to have it be so restricted on 7 days. That's the part that's getting to me.
Yeah, because like it rapidly gets to a point where it's like, why are you leaving your place of power? Like, what's drawing you out into an adventure at this point when not going on adventures lets you maintain all of this?
Yeah, like you wouldn't go that far, and that's the problem. And like if it takes you a week to travel, the benefit is lost. And that's the only thing I don't like is that part. Like if this was a video game, I would just say, well, the week won't start until you get to the location.
Yeah.
That way it's sort of like you can kind of like, maintain it until you actually get to the thing. I mean, otherwise it's like the travel that it takes for you to get there is when you have those saving throw advantages, and then when you actually do the adventure, you don't have it anymore.
And like, why are you getting benefits for random encounter? That's silly.
Yeah, and random encounters are kind of terrible anyways, but yeah, so I don't know. It's a whole thing. I don't know. It definitely I personally feel that for some of these things that would change some things up. But at 13th level, you're teleporting to the location you're going to anyways, right? So
That's the hope.
yeah. Next is Observatory. Yeah, Observatory. Roomy, one hireling, also an Empower, has a telescope. You can peer it, and it lets you see into the wild space in the astral plane, if not the heavens. Whenever you spend an entire long rest, you can cast Contact Other Plane, within the next 7 days without expending a spell slot. That's really powerful. You can issue the Empower to the facility, and the hireling explores Eldritch Mysteries of the stars for a week. And at the end of that, you roll a die, and if it's even, nothing is gained. And if it's odd, this is annoying because half the time the odd is nothing gained, half the time the even is nothing gained. Standardize that shit. Number one. Number two, can you get away with this like odds even thing? I don't like it. Just give me skill checks. That way I can kind of like build up towards it. If the number rolled is odd, an unknown power bestows one of the following supernatural charms on you or another creature of your choice that is from the same plane of existence: Charm of Dark Vision, Charm of Heroism, or Charm of Vitality. They're all described in the DMG. We're getting a charm for 1 week. Actually, does it state 1 week? No, this is a more permanent one, right?
Allows you to cast the Dark Vision spell as an action, no components required. Once used 3 times, the charm goes away. Nothing about any of these gives a duration.
So it's a three. It's three. You have 3 charges in your body of this non-recoverable Dark Vision, Heroism, or Vitality. Great. I like that a lot better than like these. Like for the next week, you get the thing.
Yeah.
Give me 3 uses of it. Give me proficiency bonus uses until I like come back, or in some cases, just until I change the training that I'm doing. Like if I met up with a skill guy and he told me how to do something, why would I? And I've been using it. Why would I forget after 1 week? That. So this is a better one. I kind of like this. It gives you a spell. It lets you contact other plane, with just a long rest. So that has like a nice long rest ability, and it gives you a nice power up for the week. There's nothing wrong with being able to cast Heroism for a week. I don't know what the Vitality one is, but
the effects of a potion of vitality.
that's so helpful.
Right?
God damn this.
This is me looking for potions in the DMG that I don't read.
Removes exhaustion, cures any disease or poison affecting you. And then for the next 24 hours, you regain the maximum number of hit points of any hit die you spend. And makes your hit die maximize when you spend hit dice.
That's useful.
Yeah, but it removes exhaustion and poisons and diseases. So you get 3 uses of that. I much prefer this kind of thing over the other stuff. This is one of the better empowers.
Yeah. Oh, did they give one of the better empowers to the spellcasters? Did they make the fighters have to desperately struggle to get away from their bastion for more than 3 days, and then just give something really nice to the spellcasters?
Yeah. This
Is that
right.
What they did?
Yeah, this requires a spellcasting focus. Yeah. Get fucked.
It's not like wizards are already able to just reference an entire separate section of the book to get their class features from.
Yeah, and it does not say.
It doesn't
It doesn't prevent
reset or go away or anything.
It does not reset or go away.
So yeah, just keep flipping that coin, baby. Load us up with as many charms as we can get our hands on.
Yeah, I don't know if the DMG has something about charms only being 1 at a time, but
I only skimmed it, but I didn't see anything.
But yeah, this is something that you can stack and then get fully prepped so that everybody has enough dark vision for the adventure. This is definitely, out of all of them, I like this design the most. And I feel like if they do this, they should add more charms to the 5.24 DMG and really expand on a lot of these concepts. This is definitely something that, but this is one of the better empowers. A lot of the other empowers are so much worse, and so much more restricted than this is. And it really doesn't need to be this restricted. The theater one could give you a short rest return on that die for
Absolutely.
the amount of time that you're gonna have it. I like once per short rest you get a D6, D10, D8, D10 once per short rest. That would
Yeah,
be
no, that's
that would be fine. There's no
that'd be great.
reason. Yeah, there's no reason, at ninth level or 13th, yeah, ninth level to like stop people from like being able to. It's so annoying. It has
Yeah,
so
no,
much.
the wizard got to clear all exhaustion from his system
And poisons and
and
diseases.
and then maximize his healing for 24 hours, and then he got to do that 2 more times.
And he got to give it to his allies, and it doesn't run out after a week. You get one charm, is what I would say, and they should add that restriction, but they should then also bring everything else more in line to this.
Yeah.
As far as the empowerings go, that's
Make that fix and then bring everything in line with the fixed thing.
yeah. So, pub researchers so far are kind of like one of the better ones, but I kind of like the crafting ones more. You definitely have like a stack of like Empower has been the worst, except for that last Empower was one of the better Empowers. Like that's like the best of the Empowers. So a lot of the crafting I think has been really good. The recruiting is kind of like okay-ish as well. Research and crafting have been the best so far. Let's see. Folks come here to consume tasty beverages and socialize. Yes. It can be a bar. It can be a coffee shop. It can be a tea room. Oh, cool. We can finally do that coffee shop AU for the game.
Why does that fill me with dread?
Let's see. So you have a hireling, serves as a bartender, maintains a network of spies in the community, and the pub uses incognito mode. You can issue the research to commission the bartender to gather information from spies within 10 miles of your bastion over the next 7 days. During that time, they divulge the location of any creature that is familiar to you, provided that the creature is within 50 miles and not hidden by magic, and confined to a location that the deems is beyond the spy network ability to locate. If the spies learn the target's location, they also learn where that creature has been for the previous 7 days. In addition, the pub has one magical beverage on tap, chosen from the options of the pub. This would be the other one that Grant would have, would be this. And it would be run by the Fire Genasi Farrell, for sure.
Sounds about right.
So Big B's Burden. What's up?
Why does it block magic? Or why is it blocked by stuff that can't be found with magic? I get that some of your resources are going to be magical, but not all of them.
Because it is. It's just what it is. I'm fine with it. If they're blocking themselves with magic, they're blocking themselves in other ways. I'm just moving on.
Nah.
Drinking this beverage, let's see, Bigby's Burden. Drinking this beverage grants you the enlarge effect of an enlarge reduce spell that lasts for 24 hours, and you get no saving throw.
Oh dear.
Oh god. Yeah, sure. Kiss of the Spider Queen. Grants you the effect of Spider Climb for 24 hours. Moonlight Serenade. Dark Vision 60 feet for 24 hours. And if you already have Dark Vision, it's extended by 60 feet. That's great. Positive Reinforcement is the name of the next drink, and that is gives you resistance to necrotic damage, and sterner stuff makes you immune to the frightened condition. I like the drinks. You can come up with more drinks. This is great. This would definitely be where I would put the brewery kind of effect. If I was going to continue the brewery, I'm still not sure if I'm going to continue doing brew stuff, but this is definitely where I would put it. I like the fact that these are effects that last 24 hours for drinking. You can enlarge it. What do you get for enlarging it? Oh, you get 2 instead of only 1. Not 2 more, total of 2. Oh, and then when you do make it bigger, you get 3 additional hirelings for a total of 4, and they act as servers. But that doesn't necessarily do anything other than the fact that you get to like assign names and personalities to them. But
if it turns out one of them is a criminal, the others aren't necessarily, and that means it stays active.
Yeah, I can see that, especially if you're going to be having it be your spy network.
Yeah.
This is another one that as long as you're there and you can issue research, the scope is very limited to the area. Again, some of these things very much reinforce the fact that this is going to be a place that you're always at, and at the end of the day, you come home to this. as opposed to a lot of the other places where you're like, we're traveling for like 6 months and then coming back. It doesn't work as well for
Yeah.
that. So there's definitely a lot of reasons why you would not have one of these, especially if you couldn't interact with it at all.
Yeah.
I do like this. This is another one where the benefits are way better overall. You know, like I would definitely go like, yeah, sure, let's, you know, have like dark vision at least for the next hour, you know, or for the next day.
Yeah.
And it's fine because it's like, well, yeah, we're gonna have this. It doesn't say, see, and then this doesn't have the restriction. Let's see, where you, why would you not bottle this?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely bottling this and taking it with you.
Yeah, there's definitely, yeah, that's definitely like an issue. That is like, yeah, if you travel more than a day with this, it's the magic fade. Boom.
If you set it up to use this the same way you would use the observatory, it works equally well.
Yeah, it definitely has one of those kind of in betweens, where it's sort of like as a DM, I'd be like, yeah, sure, you can bottle it, sure. How many bottles do you think you can carry? You dumb bitch. I'm gonna be rolling to see if they get destroyed, okay? Because you're being stupid by saying that you're gonna be taking 75 bottles of this. It's like in like, how are you carrying that? It's in your backpack. It's in your fucking backpack. Oh, you got a portable hole. Sure, sure. Yeah, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. You're just gonna reach down into the portable hole and take one? No, 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 no. You're climbing down those 10 feet. You're putting down the ladder. You're climbing down to 10 feet.
Look, motherfucker, if you're going to be extra particular because I gave you a slight benefit and you want to take it for a mile, I'm going to get extra particular about every aspect of your being.
Until the torture kills us both. But, you know, as long as we can both agree that's like, yeah, no, let's be reasonable. I'll take like 3 flagons with me, or 3 like wine skins with me, so that way I can like have at least 3 days of like dark vision. I mean, you can have the fucking charm that activates 3 times. It's the same thing. What's the difference? I wouldn't have a problem with that. The next part is reliquary. This one requires holy or druidic, and it's a harvest. Okay, so what happens here? It's a vault. Hold sacred objects that reinforce your religion. If you spend a long rest, you get a greater restoration for the week. That's nice. I like that. All it takes is a long rest. For the next 7 days, you get to do a greater restoration once without any material components. When you issued the harvest order to this facility, you commissioned the facility's hireling to produce a specially prepared talisman for you. It takes 7 days and costs no money. And then you can use it as a spellcasting focus, ignoring the spell's material components, including the ones that have a cost of 1,000 gold pieces or less. And then the talisman can be used this way only once, and then it must be returned to your reliquary. And another harvest order prepares it for use again.
Whoa.
You can order a harvest, and they make a tiny thing, a tiny talisman that is a thing, a tiny non-magical object, can be made in that has a religious significance, and then it takes 7 days, costs no money, and it lets you as a spell casting focus, ignoring any of the spell's material components up to 1,000 gold pieces. It's a one-time use spell casting focus that can replace 1,000 gold piece item or less, and you get this at 13th level. It does not have a time limit on how long you can have it that it works. It just only happens once. This is for druids and for clerics. You're gonna go through. You're gonna look up spells that have a material cost that is 1,000 or less, and see which ones are ones that you would do this for. And it is free. It is absolutely free. You don't pay for this thing. That's reliquary. And I can see like this by itself, greater restoration and this is not enough to also lose access to the holy water necessarily. So I can kind of see keeping multiples of that, but this is definitely the upgraded Sacred City or whatever. That's right under it, Sacred City, yeah. I kind of feel like you would still want both. The level 13 stuff, Archive is okay-ish. Meditation Chambers is really powerful. Menagerie is good as a replacement for your barracks. Well, not really, but it kind of can be.
It's funnier.
Well, it's can be like a replacement for your stable,
Stable.
yeah. Um, or as a combinatorial of stable and barracks. That way you don't have to worry about that stuff. Observatory is
Powerful.
observatory was powerful. The pub was pretty good. Um, especially since there's currently no restrictions, so you can take that beer with you and have it. And reliquary. So the level 13 is definitely way better than level 9. Overall, level
Yeah.
13 is much more on point than the level 9 stuff. The level 9 stuff is really sophomore year. It's like it needs another pass 100%.
Yeah.
And level 17 is Demiplane, Guildhall, Sanctum, and War Room. And these are really focused. So Demiplane is focused on the Arcane Caster. Guildhall is for the expertise, so that's really going to be your Rogue and Bard. Sanctum is for that Holy Symbol Druidic focus. And War Room is having fighting style or unarmored defense. So these are the top, these are like the big kahuna ones. So
Yeah, these are the ones where it's like you want one of these.
yeah, so let's
Or at least that's the hope.
yeah. So if you're a caster, an arcane caster, you'll want the demiplane. Let's look at demiplane. First of all, the empower. It's an empower. It's fast and it's a D10. No hirelings. It's a shadowy door that leads you to a demiplane. It's only big enough to let medium creatures through unhindered, and only you and your hirelings can open it. Leads to a demiplane made out of otherworldly materials that are as resilient as stone, and it exists in that space and isn't attached physically. And it's the door, the demiplane nor the door can be dispelled, so the spell magic doesn't actually get rid of it. And so this is the kind of protection stuff that I was saying, like they really need to work on having the entire thing feel like this, so that way you don't feel like your trophy room is going to disappear just because you've adventured for slightly too long. It makes sense if you die,
Yep.
but like if your character dies, I would allow it to go like, okay, it'll take a while, but then they're gonna abandon it and becomes an abandoned place. That makes sense. But until your character dies, let's just be honest. Like, how am I not communicating with them? Why am I not sending them letters? Like,
Yep.
so when you issue the Empower order to this facility, magical runes appear on the demiplane's walls, floor, and ceiling, and last for 7 days. Until the runes disappear, you gain temporary hit points equal to 5 times your level after spending a long rest in the demiplane. Okay, so you say Empower, and it goes, "Hey, wizard, here's some temporary hit points."
Today.
5 times your level, yeah. So at least you can leave after taking a long rest. At least that for that day you have 5 times your level. This is level 17, so that's 85 temp hit points.
Okay.
I see you, Abjuration Wizard. Cast that
Ninth level armor of Agathis?
yeah, ninth level armor of Agathis Warlock, with an 85 extra, sure. You can fabricate, which is you can use a magic action to create a non-magical object. No bigger than a 5 foot cube, made of wood stone. And you must finish the long rest before you can perform this action again. You can go in there, make a thing. I guess this was essentially the fabricate spell or something. I don't know.
Something like that.
5 foot cube. Scry proof. The contents can't be scried using crystal balls, divination, or similar magic. Cool. So yeah, you go in there, you sleep, you're protected from scrying. The pub can't find you, and you come out with 85 to 100 temporary hit points for the day,
And a rock.
and a rock, a 5 foot cube rock, sure, as long as it's a non-precious crystal or non-precious metal.
I think copper is technically non-precious.
Yeah, there's questions.
Ultimate Aeonasir.
This does not give you access to some of the other stuff that the arcane stuff would give you, like the researchy stuff or the some of the spell casting. It this buffs you for final confrontations that you're gonna have that day, gives you access to a fabrication, and protects you from being spied on. So you can drag your friends in here and have discussions on how to kill the big bad without being seen.
Hell yeah.
I think that's kind of good. Could use something else for level 17. And the 85 hit points, 10 hit points, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
So I I would like to see this give like maybe a short rest, one of those short rest spell recoveries as well. Um, or I don't know. There's like a lot of things in here that I would like, that are not in here. So it doesn't feel like a lot. Let's see what the other ones do though. Here we go. Guild Hall. Here we go. Expertise skill lets you recruit. Comes with a guild. You order the guild hall. Comes with a guild. For which you are
How
the
useful.
yeah, and you're the guild master of it. So you choose the type of guild. There's some sample guilds, but you can make a new guild.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the meeting room. Hold on, can you keep going? I need to drink some water.
Sure. Choose the types or work facilities and meeting room where members of your guild can discuss important matters in your presence. Wall banners depict the guild's symbol. You've got roughly 50 members made up of people who live and work in the nearby settlements. Each time you issue the recruit order to this facility, you commission one or more members of your guild to perform a special assignment. Each guild in the sample guilds table specifies the nature of that assignment. So you can design your guild, but it's going to be one of these guilds that we printed out for you. You're welcome. With your DM's permission and help, you can create new assignments for guild members to complete.
Okay,
So you can make other stuff.
all right, so
And then
all these are just sampled. These are just ideas of the things you can do. Okay, so let's look at some of the ideas. You're an adventurers guild. You send adventurers to track down a beast that has a challenge rating of 2 or lower, and is known to lair within 50 miles, and they slay it or capture it in 1d6 plus 1 days. And if the creature is slain, and you have a trophy room, you now have a trophy of that creature. And then if the creature is captured and you have a menagerie, you can include it in your menagerie. Okay. Okay, I see what's going on here. All right. Bakers is the idea that you make something with 7 days and you get 500 gold pieces or a favor owed for doing the baked goods. Brewers is 40-gallon barrels of ale, and then you can sell them at 10 gold piece GP a piece.
and it's 50 of them, so that's another 500 gold. So you can presume that the effective value of the thing is going to be 500 gold in profit. That's their
Sure.
intent.
Okay, yeah. So, which is less than the storehouse, was it?
At this level, you're getting 5,000 gold of profit every 2 weeks. If you have a meditation chamber somehow, that becomes 5,000 gold in profit a week.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so this is definitely nowhere near that. Let's see. Cartographer's Guild, you can assign cartographers to draw a map in 7 days, or you can pay them 500 to procure a map of known adventure location and deliver it. This one is you can spend 500 gold pieces. Entertainers Guild can make something in 7 days and gains recognition, no monetary value, and the DM can decide if it accrues value after your death. Jewelers Guild,
Wow.
Jewelers Guild can assign to craft a gemstone or piece of jewelry worth no more than 1,000 gold pieces. Takes 7 days. You have to pay for the raw materials. It's so the kinds of stuff that you can make are Mason's Guild can let you make walls now at no cost to you, instead of having to pay the huge amount of cost for those 5 foot square walls. Shipbuilders Guild lets you make waterborne vehicles, and you pay the full cost of the vehicle, and the work takes 1 day per 1,000 gold pieces of the vehicle's cost. So a rowboat can be made in a day. Or you can be a thieves guild. So this would be probably what Kali and Grant would be doing. Um, and you can assign to infiltrate somewhere within 50 miles to steal a non-magical object no bigger than a 5 foot cube and deliver it in 1d6 plus 1 days. And a white key is left in its place. Whatever, you leave whatever symbol is left in its place. And
You steal a fancy thing and run the risk of pissing off law enforcement.
Sure. So this is a nothing burger, and it doesn't do any of the things that you would replace it anything else with. I don't necessarily. So far, these have not been great. These are really so. Sanctum and War Room are the next two. So let's look at Sanctum.
When you issue the
There it is.
Empower order to this facility, you inspire its hirelings to perform daily rites that benefit you or another player character of your choice. Each time the beneficiary finishes a long rest, they gain temporary hit points equal to your level, so up to 20. The effect lasts for 7 days.
Okay, so
Okay.
you empower and um you or another player of your choice for the next 7 days, and it takes 7 days to do this, right? Yeah, yeah, it always takes that. So
Yeah.
for the next week, you get up to 20 temp hit points every day, just for waking up. Sure. Um, not as a not, it's not as tall, but it's also not as wide. Like it's only one person's getting this benefit, really. And then
Mm-hmm.
whenever you spend a long rest in the Bastion, you can heal once within the next 7 days. Heals is that the 70 hit point, 80 hit point?
70, yeah.
Yeah. Not that's pretty good. Um so you can kind of stack some of these so that you can get like a lot of like healing. You get healing word, a ninth level healing word, and a heal spell for the next week. Sure. And then Sanctum Recall, you can cast Word of Recall and make the Sanctum the destination of the spell instead of another place you have previously designated. In addition, one creature of your choice that arrives in the Sanctum via the spell gains the benefit of a heal spell.
Okay, that's pretty efficient.
Oh, that's great. Especially you're casting it usually to get away, so you can usually go like, and this person's healed, who was down and was on death saving throws. So yeah,
Yeah.
um, all right. That this one is
Decent.
it's decent. Again,
It
I have the thing with the limitation of the 7 days for any kind of benefit. But it probably means that we might want to scale the temp hit point benefits. Um,
Yeah, like if it was yeah, 20 a day. I don't know if that's like that is technically 140 temporary hit points. The one guy got 200. I don't know.
yeah, I'm a little iffy. Like, uh, it's another one where it's just it doesn't feel. And then there's like four hirelings here. I don't know. It definitely some of these are like unless until we start writing them, but a lot of it feels like just barely not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like it really needs a little bit of a kick up on some of these. And the observatory so far has been the most overpowered, one of the most overpowered ones out of nowhere for some reason. So,
Only
um,
because you can stack it.
yeah, it's the same thing with the pub. It's just like the fact that some of these stack, or that you can kind of, as a thinking human being, you can kind of find workarounds for it. Feels
Hmm.
like it definitely needs a little bit more work or clarification or tuning. But it's
Yeah.
a lot.
Ideally not in the form of a 7-day expiration date.
Yeah, a lot of these are close, and I really feel like they're trying to be very safe with that 7 day thing. But it also makes it feel like, depending on the kind of adventure, you don't even want to deal with it. If I were to say that the Bastion is your room at the Problem Solver Sanctuary, and have it be like an unlocked, like you get like two more keys, and then like at ninth and then 13th you get an additional like more keys. Like at ninth you get two more
Yeah.
keys, 13th you get an extra key, and at 17th you get an extra key, and those keys can unlock these rooms in your thing, or and you
Hmm.
can have like um problem solver sanctuary workers working on it, or something like that. Like
Yeah.
if it was something like that, I feel like this would definitely work. And you guys still travel away from solver sanctuaries for periods of time, but I think that is you're less likely to have spent 7 days traveling from a solver sanctuary to a location without then hitting another solver sanctuary to be able to reset. And the fact,
Yeah, no, that sounds about right, especially at the speed we go places.
plus the size of the map, you can. almost every Solver Sanctuary is within at least maybe a little bit. Maybe the worst is like a little bit over 7 days, but if you're trying to get somewhere in between two Solver Sanctuaries, you can get to one Solver Sanctuary and then travel from that direction instead.
Yeah.
So, as of right now, I don't think there's a lot of spaces that are more than 7 days away from, except for like the end quote unquote end game areas are all within 7 days. So that's like that aspect is kind of okay in my map, but it's also one of those things that it's sort of like it's more for the travel time. And
Yeah.
so a lot of the stuff you have to look at it as travel benefits as opposed to end game benefits until you're like able to teleport to it. All right, final room, war room.
War room. Hirelings. See below. Space vast. And it's a
D10.
recruit room.
Okay, so that means if once it's filled up, you can't recruit, so you can't get the D10 once it's filled up.
You start with 2 lieutenants and can add more. And if you don't have the facilities to house them, they stay nearby. They don't count as defenders, but if your bastion's attacked, each lieutenant housed in your bastion reduces by 1 the number of dice you roll to determine how many bastion defenders are lost in the attack. So if you get 6 lieutenants, you don't lose anybody.
Because it's at most 6 dice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So each lieutenant reduces the number of dice you roll to determine if you lose Bastion Defender by 1. Okay. And they don't get lost in it. They're like, they survive it. They survive attacks and they help your stuff survive attacks. Great. That's wonderful. That this is the one that at this point you're like, yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna. This is the kind of thing that benefits you from not needing to worry about your bastion so much.
Yeah.
Cool. So then you don't mind being gone and having it roll for attack. That attackers happen. You can still have a 10% chance of losing somebody, but that's way less.
Yeah. And the attack still takes down one of your buildings, but you have 6 by this point.
Yeah. So it contains
then-
memorabilia plus a large war table. And when you issue recruit orders, you choose one of the following options. Recruit lieutenants, up to 6.
Up to 10,
Oh, up
technically.
to 10. Oh, wow.
Not sure why you'd need more, though, but...
Well, let's find out.
Oh, because they're your hirelings.
Okay. And then you can, so you can still lose a lieutenant with 10% chance for maintenance to lose one. So
Yep.
you commission one or more of your lieutenants to assemble a small army. Each lieutenant can muster 100 guards in 7 days. So that's 1,000 guards.
Up to 1,000, yeah.
And if you want them to be mounted on riding horses, the reduce that number by 20. Number to 20 if you want them on horses. Okay. It costs you 1 gold piece per day to feed each of them, and wherever the army goes, it must be led by you or at least one of your lieutenants, or else it disbands immediately. The army also disbands if it goes 1 day without being fed. Yeah.
Otherwise, the army remains until destroyed or commanded to disband. You can't issue this recruit order again until your current army disbands or is destroyed.
So, yeah, this is definitely a war room. This one
That's the hype.
Yeah, this protects your stuff, makes your stuff better, and actually has a really big benefit because it's sort of like this is changing how you play the game.
The warrior got the last laugh. Ha ha!
Because it's sort of like, yeah, I can cast heal and I can save us with the heal, and
I can get a free heal twice a day, but one of those times involves us going home.
and one of us can get like 20 temporary hit points after a long rest for at least 1 week. I mean, the cost of this is obviously a lot for the war room because we're talking about 1,000 and at a gold piece per day. Because it's the 20 guards, and 20 horses, so that's at least 40. But if you're spending 100 gold pieces for the guards, and you have 1,000 gold pieces per day, you better be hoping that you're gonna reach a goal within that time period. But this would definitely be like, okay, guys, you formed this up in
Okay, we're
Bahamaton.
all going to hell. Here's the gate.
Well,
Charge.
let's be specific. We're going to the magnetic mines. Um, here's the gate. Charge. So I can see it. You know, you got Indigo would have like 3 gate rings ready. Go gate, gate, gate. Get there on the same day. I'm only paying pay, pay the 1,000 gold. Here you go. Go fight some Tula, some mind flayer Tulas. Then we'll kill the mother brain and go home.
I feel like Indigo stops that plan at kill all the spiders.
No, no, she doesn't.
I feel like Michael stops that plan at kill all the spiders.
No, no, that's why Indigo didn't stop. But yeah, so War Room though is the one that feels War Room feels the most like it changes how the game plays and actually has even though there's the cost, like 1,000 gold piece cost per day, you know, you plan to have like 5 to 10 days of marching and fighting. Um, a DM can be a real asshole, so you really want to play like and know how far you need to go to do this before you go and try and figure this out.
You pair this up with a storeroom for profits, because at that point that's getting you 5,000 a week.
You have to have that
Yeah.
money ahead of time, though,
Yeah, the meditation
because
storehouse.
if you're
Like,
traveling,
you rack up that cash, and
Yeah.
then you go, okay, we've got the cash now. Where's our engagement? It's that far away? Okay, that's gonna be a bit more. So let me save up so that I have 20 days, and then
Yeah.
we march at dawn, bitches.
that is the Bastion system. So
That is the entire Bastion system.
now that we've actually looked at the whole thing, what do you think?
There's potential there. There's definitely
Yeah.
potential in all this. I kind of
Yeah.
do wanna like try some of it out and see how it works and look at it from a couple different angles. See what I can do with it to like I don't think I can actually cheese any of it because the stuff that could be cheesed is like blatantly obvious.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that is sort of like, as a DM, I feel like it's not strong enough, and I would want to bump it up, even if it's like scaled, like at 5th level you get it this, at 9th you get this, at 13th and then 17th. Like even if I were to say that this scales a certain way, I would rather do that than to leave it as weak as it is. And in other cases, I would definitely want to be more in control of that information as a DM, and really like control, like limit how much they can get. So they have some things that are really broken, some things that are way underpowered, and I don't necessarily like the 7-day limitation. But I don't mind there being a limitation. It just feels like if the adventure goes longer than 7 days, like it. Remember when I first started running 5th edition, and that entire first campaign happened in like 9 days.
A week?
Yeah, it was a week, and in 1 week you guys went from like level 3 to like level 10, and we're like fighting
Level 5 to level 9, I think.
No, you guys were like
No, we were level 10 because Boris came back and he had the thing.
Yeah, so you guys went from like 5 to 10, and it took the characters the in-game characters like 7 to 9 days to like go from like, oh my god, it's a scary dragon, to like, we are killing a god. And and so I can understand that if in those 7 days, every day you wake up, you have 20 temporary hit points, or 5 or 10 temporary hit points. That is one thing. But but in the campaigns that I'm running now, it just does not fit well. I don't.
Yeah, it needs to be more abstract so that it can account for like oh, this is what
Yeah.
we're actually doing. This is what our play style is. This is how we accommodate that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if it had like a charge that then activated for so that for like let's say for like the 20 temporary hit points. Let's say you get one charge and then when you activate it for the next 7 days, you wake up with that. That kind of thing, I kind of like how the charm gives you like pretty much like three charges of a spell. If you had
Yeah.
like 1 to 3 charges of an effect until you take the effect again in your bastion, I think that would work out better. Um, it's like, oh yeah, you get heal once for the next week. It's like, how about I get 3 charges of heal that I can use at least once per day? And
That
now,
seems much more reasonable.
yeah, I feel like that's kind of like at the power level that I would expect for a bonus of these levels at these levels. And I do like that there's enough information here for me to be able to kind of like um, for my crafting system to work with this kind of system. Essentially this already fits in with my problem solver sanctuary solution. So
Yeah.
I'm very okay with the idea. The idea of this, I'm happy. I love the idea of this. This is because this
Oh
is
yeah.
already
Fantastic idea.
yeah. The execution definitely needs work. I don't know how I feel about the 1 week thing. I'm kind of okay. I'm kind of not okay with it, like being units of 1 week. I kind of wanted to have like a little bit more granularity. But I'm with what they're doing, the 1 week is perfectly fine, and you can kind of work around it. Um,
Hmm.
it's the same feeling that I have about short rests being an hour instead of 10 minutes. Um,
Yeah. That's not. We don't do that here. No,
yeah,
please no.
yeah. It's very much in that kind of vein where it's sort of like I get it, and again, it's one of those things where it's sort of like you want to add those restrictions, but when you are saying, okay, you got to prepare. Well, okay, for me to prepare, I'm going to have to now spend 5, 10 weeks because it's like every other week or something to do something. And then after that, I spend 1 week to empower myself before I leave. That is a lot. There's definitely like it's fighting itself in that sense, but it's not fighting itself by making an interesting decision. It's fighting itself by making it so that the actions the players are going to take are opposite to the actions that they were hoping the players are going to take. Um, and the fact that you can lose everything just because you went on an adventure means that you're going to stay with it, and then it doesn't leave the players hungry because you're able to build it in such a way that even if you're there all the time, you're going to make money. And so uh yeah, you're very much not as incentivized to go adventuring and explore.
Stonks.
So that I feel like that's the my review of it.
It's a good thought. It needs better execution. There's a lot of stuff that needs work, and there's loopholes you can drive a truck through.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been a fun almost 5 hour recording. Except for a few things that I'm going to end up cutting out. This might be the entire thing. So about 4.5 hours of this.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, this has been a special feature because I'm gonna be trying to get this out this week so that it's relevant.
Oh no. What
Yeah,
have I done?
yeah. But no, this was great. This was I feel like this was a good recording.
Return to form?
Yeah, maybe. I still have stuff from June to keep editing, and that's going to be released as I edit. And but this is definitely going to be it. So I'm going to go over to the end screen here and say support me on Coffee for more 5e compatible content, especially if you want to support me into seeing the crafting system that I'm working on. But I'm in love with the crafting system. I don't know how Pumpkin feels about it.
The no, not the pumpkin system. The crafting system is great.
The pumpkins. But yeah, so yeah, that's our review. Crafting system layered on top of this to make it better. Restrict some of the more powerful things, and expand some of the more limited things. There we go. All right.
We did it.
Yay! That's a wrap. Say bye, pumpkin.
Word of recall.